Hey everyone, Firescale Audiobooks here. If you'd like to request updates on any novel, consider becoming a Patreon or Ko-fi member. Based on your membership tier, I'll create additional parts for the novel you're interested in. Normally, I'll only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel due to limited time. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It really helps.
Was it that bad? Leo swallowed nervously after seeing Jeff's reaction to his simple question. You have no idea. Unlike D rank and below, where you only have to fight a couple of monsters at the same rank, all promotion examinations for C rank and above require you to complete a special mission, and it's a different mission every time you take it, so you will never know what to expect until the end. For the first 2 examinations, I had to gather certain materials from monsters in the wilderness. I nearly died both times because I underestimated the mission. For the 3rd and 4th examination, I needed to harvest a specific resource from a specific location. Lastly, for the 5th examination, I needed to clear out a group of monsters that had been threatening a certain trade route. The worst part is that they make you do missions that are way too hard to do alone for your rank because they expect you to receive help from others, not to mention the strict time limit. That does sound a lot harder than fighting some monsters. Leo mumbled in a dazed voice. Jeff sighed. Honestly, I am afraid of the B rank examination. Chances are I will remain as a C rank for the rest of my life. Don't be so negative. I'm sure you'll do fine, Dean said. Trust me, you will understand my feelings once you eventually take the C rank examination yourselves. After talking for some time, everyone beside Leo and the person on the lookout went to sleep. Why did you decide to become an adventurer, Leon? Trista, who had replaced David, asked him as she stared at the wilderness with a somewhat dazed look on her face. It wasn't really my decision to become an adventurer. My teacher was the one who made me into an adventurer, he said. I see. Well, I became an adventurer because I wanted a better life. I grew up in a poor family, and the only way people like us earn money nowadays is to become an adventurer or win the lottery. Sometime later, she asked, what about your future? What do you hope to achieve? Leo stared at the starry night through the windows and mumbled, I don't know. I have spent most of my life staring at books and studying for exams, so I haven't really gotten the chance to think about such things. Just like you, I was born into a poor family, and in order to make a better life for myself and my family, I poured all of my effort into education, but after a certain incident, all of that effort became pointless, and I somehow ended up here where education is worthless. Education, huh? You must have entered a very prestigious school. How lucky. That kind of stuff is considered obsolete in most schools nowadays, and we only get to learn the very basics before we're taught how to survive in the wilderness. After all, what use is education if our world is overrun by monsters and vampires? Will education help us fend off monsters? Will education help us when we become livestock for vampires? Only the rich and elite care about education because they have the luxury to choose between working in the city or becoming an adventurer and risking their lives every day outside the city. Most of them choose to stay in the city where it's safe. After all, who in their right mind would want to risk their life in the wilderness when they can make a living inside the city? Leo remained silent as he listened to Trista complain about the current state of their world, where education is no longer the most important aspect but the ability to survive in the wilderness, which only made Leo feel more bitter because he'd spent the majority of his life and all of his effort into bettering his education. Honestly, you should give up on being an adventurer and work inside the city. Don't waste all of the effort that you've put into education. That's what I would do if I were in your shoes. I will think about it, he said. They stopped talking shortly after to ponder about their own things. What do you think, Lilith? Would you stay with me if I decide to stop being an adventurer to work a boring job inside the city? Leo asked her in a somewhat joking tone. No matter what you decide to do, I never want to go back to being alone without a single soul to talk to. You can pick up garbage on the street for the rest of your life and I will still choose to be with you, she said. Also, while there is some truth to what that woman said, it really depends on your situation and what kind of person you want to be. Look at Miss Camille, for example. She seems to be from a wealthy family, yet she decided to become an adventurer at such a young age. What do you want to do, Leo? What kind of person are you? Do you want to be wealthy? Or do you want to be famous? If your wish is to be surrounded by beautiful women, that is fine as well. If you're ambitious, you would aim for multiple goals. Leo suddenly retrieved a mana core and stared at it in silence. I was only good at studying and memorizing textbooks in my old world, so I was forced to focus on it. However, in this world, I have other talents, such as magic, which I find 1,000,000 times more interesting than staring at a textbook, even if it's a little more dangerous. Like many, I have always fantasized about being a powerful magician or a hero when I was a child. Although it is nothing more than a childish dream in my old world, that is actually possible in this world. Also, do I really need a goal in life? There are countless people out there who have managed to live a proper life without having a set goal, and that is exactly what I am going to do until I find an actual goal. So you're just going to follow the flow? I guess that isn't a bad idea either. Having a set goal will help you achieve it faster, but with your talents and the magic system, I guess that kind of stuff won't really matter. Well, my goal right now is to be promoted to a C-rank adventurer before the wilderness training course. I can find another goal after that. About 2 hours later, Trista suddenly shouted, "We have a group of monsters ahead! Prepare to fight! I will wake the others!" Leo literally jumped out of his seat and prepared to go outside after hearing her words. Sure enough, the vehicle stopped moving a few moments later. Leo did not hesitate to go outside to face the group of monsters. Black Bullet. Lights fell. A barrage of black bullet flew towards the group of monsters blocking the path, killing most of them before Trista and the others could even step foot outside the vehicle. You have completed a quest. Plus 100 magic points. When the monsters saw how Leo had killed the majority of their group with a single attack, they all scattered in fear. However, Leo wasn't willing to let them go and began sniping them with Black Bullet. In the end, he killed several more monsters before the rest of them ran away. The others felt useless when Leo finished the whole thing before they could even cast a single spell. Ah, amazing. He's the best bodyguard I've ever encountered. Tammy's laughter could be heard from inside the vehicle shortly after. I don't want to complain since I didn't have to fight any monsters, but man, I feel really useless, David said with a bittersweet smile as they harvested the mana cores. You should spare at least 1 or 2 for the rest of us, Leon, Dean said. Leo raised his eyebrows and said, but our priority is to protect cargo. It would only make sense to deal with the threat as soon as possible. If you want some mana cores, go ahead and take some. I don't mind sharing. Haha. He's got you beat, Dean. You can't argue with that logic. Jeff laughed out loud. Do you really not mind sharing your mana cores with us? Even though you did all of the work? I don't want to be shameless, but it would really help me out, Trista said. Leo nodded and said, you guys can keep whatever you harvest. Thank you, Leon. I really like you now, Trista said with a bright smile on her face. Why are you giving them the mana cores even though they don't deserve it? Lilith asked him. I guess I feel a little bad about killing all of the monsters by myself. Also, it wouldn't be wise of me to hog all of the mana cores when everyone is trying to make a living. I don't want to make myself look like a selfish prick, especially when we have to spend the next week together. And it's just a couple of F-rank mana cores. I would gladly sacrifice some of them to keep the atmosphere between us positive, as expected of a human. You care too much about others' opinions. It is because of this trait that you humans sometimes lose out on opportunities and profits. No vampires would sacrifice themselves for another vampire. Lilith sighed. I don't see any benefit in offending other people. That's how you get stabbed in the back. He shrugged. Maybe not in your old world, but in this world you'll get stabbed in the back regardless if you're being generous to them or not. Lilith shook her head. And she wondered inwardly, he's still too naive, but I guess I cannot blame him. He came from a world where this kind of environment did not exist not too long ago. Sometime later, once they returned to the vehicle, Leo opened up the magic system and purchased the quest that required him to learn a Tier 5 magic spell for 100 magic points. You have purchased a new quest. Quest: learn a Tier 5 magic spell. Time limit: not applicable. Reward: 500 magic points. Ding! You have completed a quest. Plus 500 magic points. Leo looked at the quest shop after completing the quest. Quest shop: kill 100 monsters, 10 MP. Reward: 100 MP. Limit: 1/3. Learn Tier 6 magic spell, 1000 MP. Reward: 5000 MP. Oh? There's actually a limit to how many times I can repeat these quests? What a pity. Leo thought to himself after seeing the changes to the quest shop. Either way, he purchased the quest that required him to kill 100 monsters again. Hey Lilith, do you have any Tier 6 magic circle for me to learn? He asked her after seeing the new quest in the quest shop. If he could learn a Tier 6 now, he would only need to collect 500 more magic points before acquiring 5000 magic points. Huh? You want to learn Tier 6 magic spells already? I'm sorry, but that's not possible, she said. It's not like I plan on using it. I just need to learn it to complete a quest, he explained. That's not why I don't want to teach you. You see, there's a limit to the tier of magic spells you can learn, meaning that you cannot learn above a certain tier of magic spells until you have certain experience with the lower tiers. For example, most people won't be able to learn Tier 4 magic spells until their Tier 3 magic spells reach a certain mastery rank, and this varies from person to person. Talented people will require less experience to learn higher tier magics, while those without talent will need to learn more than one magic spell and reach a certain mastery rank with all of them before they can learn a higher tier magic spell. Even with your talent, the chances of you learning Tier 6 magic spells at your current state is very slim to none, but we can still try. After hearing Lilith's explanation, Leo said, I still want to try. How will I know if I cannot learn it? You won't be able to memorize the magic spell no matter how long you try. Your mind will not be able to handle the magic spell until it has enough experience. All right, I understand. Lilith proceeded to create a Tier 6 magic circle to show Leo, who would stare at it intensively. However, even after staring at the magic circle for an hour, Leo couldn't memorize the magic circle, almost as though there was something preventing him from doing so, and he even got a headache from trying. Don't force yourself. If you start feeling headaches or nauseous, you should immediately stop. If you try to force yourself to learn the magic circle, it could cause permanent damage to your mind. Lilith warned him when she noticed his annoyed expression that suggested he was being bothered by something. What? Really? Leo immediately closed his eyes and stopped looking at the magic circle after hearing her words. Damn it, it felt like I was so close to memorizing it, but something was preventing me from taking that last step, he sighed. It's already amazing enough that you're able to memorize Tier 5 magic spells when you barely have any experience with magic. I guess I can't just rush this. Oh well. Anyways, I have enough magic points to unlock a new magic affinity. Should I do it? Lilith raised her eyebrows and asked with a dumbfounded face. You can acquire more magic affinities through the magic system? I sure can. That's how I got my wind magic affinity as well. The only downside is that it's all randomized, so I don't get to pick what magic affinity I get. Unbelievable. After a moment of silence, Lilith spoke. If that's the case, you should acquire as many magic affinities as you can. Not only will it increase your overall strength, but it will also increase the amount of magic spells that you can use, which will come in handy during situations where you are only allowed to use specific magic spells. Alright, I will unlock a new magic affinity then. Confirm purchase Awaken Random Affinity for 300 magic points. You have purchased Awaken Random Affinity from the magic shop. You have awakened a new magic affinity. Ding! You have awakened Fire Magic Affinity. Fire Magic Affinity, E. Oh? I just unlocked Fire Magic Affinity and it's already rank E? Is that random as well? He wondered to himself afterward. What magic affinity did you unlock? Lilith asked him with an excited look on her face. Fire Magic Affinity, and it's even rank E. Wow. That's amazing. Now your black flame will become even more powerful. she exclaimed. Black flame, huh? Now that I think about it, I haven't used that spell at all because I didn't want Miss Camille questioning me about how I had acquired it. I should be able to use it without worrying about such details now. By the way, what kind of spell is it? Do I throw a fireball or something? He then asked. You can spew it out like a flamethrower or you can throw it like a fireball. It depends on what you want, Lilith said. Lights flamikronem. Really? I can adjust the way I use magic. Only for certain magic spells. Black Bullet, for example, cannot be modified. The same goes for Void Step and Feather Step. As for Dark Barrier, you can adjust the size of the barrier and even make it wrap around your body like a protective suit. That's good to know, he mumbled. Sometime later, Leo decided to increase the rank of his wind magic affinity to E since it only cost 20 magic points. You have purchased Improved Magic Affinity Wind, 420 magic points Lights novel. Wind Magic Affinity rank F rank E. Through increasing his wind magic affinity to rank E, the price increased to 500 magic points to increase it again to rank D. Leo and his group would not encounter any more monsters for the remainder of the night. During the second day of their travel, Leo would play cards with the other adventurers to kill time. The morning went by without any troubles, but once it got dark outside, the monsters became more active. Monsters! Get ready for battle! There are a bunch of blood-eyed hyenas up ahead, Jeff shouted when he saw the monsters blocking their path in the distance. Blood-eyed hyenas are classified as E-rank monsters, and just as their name sounds, they're large hyenas with sharp red eyes and blood around their eyes, making it seem as though they were crying blood. This was Leo's first time encountering this kind of monster, but he didn't hesitate to face them. Let's try out Black Flame for once, Leo thought to himself as the monsters approached them. Once they were close enough, Leo released a powerful wave of black flames from his palms, instantly engulfing all of the monsters before him. However, the monsters did not instantly die and instead started crying in pain as they instinctively dropped on the ground and rolled around. Unfortunately for these blood-eyed hyenas, Leo's flames could not be extinguished no matter how much they rolled around in the dirt, and it continued to burn their bodies until only their mana cores were left. Leo swallowed nervously after seeing the effect of black flame. This is definitely much better when it comes to attacking a group of monsters. Why didn't I use this earlier? He cried inwardly. As for the others, even though they were shocked by the prowess of Leo's new magic spell, they still went to fight the remaining monsters, as they did not want Leo to do everything for them. They returned to the vehicle once they killed all of the monsters and collected the mana cores. Leon, was that black flame just now? I can also use that spell, but it's nowhere near as powerful as yours. Compared to your flamethrower black flames, mine is like a small fire from a lighter. And I have an E-rank fire magic affinity. Dean exclaimed a moment later. How can you compare yourself to a genius like Leon, right? Trista winked at him in a seductive manner. Leon, do you actually have two different magic affinities? Jeff suddenly asked. No, I don't. Black flame is also considered dark magic, hence why I can use it. He shook his head. Even if that is the case, it's too powerful. Did you max out the mastery rank? Dean asked him. Yes, I did. Leo nodded. They knew his actual mastery rank was F, who knows how they would react. My God. I cannot imagine how long that took you when it took me 3 years to reach mastery rank C. It took him 3 years to reach mastery rank C for a tier 1 magic spell. Isn't that a little too slow? Leo cried inwardly after hearing Dean's words. Through all, it only took him a month to reach mastery rank C for Black Bullet, and he was practicing other magic spells during that time. It was at this moment that Leo realized his own abnormal progression compared to the average person. Sometime later, they had to stop again after being blocked by more monsters. Of course, Leo only had to use a single black flame to wipe out the majority of them since most low-rank monsters usually travel in groups. They continued this routine for several more times until they were only a couple hours away from Fairwood City. During this time, Leo finished the quest that required him to kill 100 monsters again, even progressing halfway through the third one. You have completed a quest, plus 100 magic points. According to the GPS, we're only 2 hours away from Fairwood City. Once we arrive and I finish unloading the cargo, I will treat you guys to some good food, Tammy suddenly said to them as they got closer to their destination. Thank you, Mr. Tammy. Leo and the others were excited, as they had eaten nothing but MREs for the past 3 days. A little over 2 hours later, they arrived at their destination right as the sun began setting. And we're here, Fairwood City. Leo and the others watched as their vehicle slowly approached the city walls of Fairwood City. Once they reached the gates, the guards there checked all of their identities before allowing them to enter. Upon entering the city, Tammy found a place to park the vehicle before going outside with everyone. It's been a while, Mr. Tammy. We're ready to move the cargo whenever you are. A group of individuals approached the vehicle the moment they came outside. Yes, please. Go ahead and move them to the usual location. Tammy nodded his head. While the workers moved the cargo, Tammy approached Leo and the others. I will be staying in this city, but the rest of you will return to Stellar City tomorrow morning. I have already prepared your rooms. Follow me. Leo and the others followed Tammy to a nearby 3-star hotel. Once they were at the hotel, Tammy handed them their room keys and said, I will meet you guys down here in the lobby in 2 hours, then we'll go grab some dinner. After getting his key, Leo went straight to his room to take a long hot shower before lying on the soft bed. I don't think I want to do transportation missions ever again. It's too boring and I don't even get to enjoy the place I visit. It would be nice if I could have some fun for a couple of days before we go back to Stellar City, but we're going back literally tomorrow morning. He sighed as he laid on the bed and stared at the white ceiling. It's your choice, she casually said. 2 hours later, Leo and the others gathered at the hotel lobby and waited for Tammy. Once everyone was there, Tammy brought them all to a fancy restaurant that was only a couple of blocks away from the hotel. Go ahead and order whatever you want. It's my treat, Tammy said to them with a smile once they all sat down around the table. While they waited for their food, Tammy turned to look at Leo and said to him, I think I speak for everyone here when I say that you're the reason we managed to arrive at our destination without any casualties and smoothly. Thank you very much for all of your hard work, Leon. It's nothing much. I just want to get to C rank as soon as possible, he said with a somewhat bashful look on his face, as he was not good with compliments. C rank, huh? I will recommend you for a promotion once the mission is completely finished, Tammy said. Really? You can do something like that? Leo was pleasantly surprised to hear such words from Tammy. Let's just say that I have a little influence within the Adventurers Guild. Tammy winked in a playful manner. Anyways, why don't you all tell me a little about yourselves while we wait for the food? Sure. The adventurers started introducing themselves to Tammy, each of them giving a brief explanation of their background and why they became adventurers, something Leo already heard multiple times during their journey. Once the food arrived at their table, everyone stopped their conversation to indulge in the food before them. An hour later, Tammy paid the tab and everyone left the restaurant. Thank you for the food, Mr. Tammy, Leo said to him. No, I should be thanking you. Please continue keeping my cargo safe on the way back, Leon. Of course, he nodded. Sometime later, Leo and the others returned to the hotel. Hey, Leon, want to spend the night with me? We should relax and have some fun before we go back to the boring wilderness, right? Trista suddenly asked him as they reached their rooms, even winking her eyes in a seductive manner at him. Leo was taken aback by her surprise attack. It's okay even if you have a girlfriend. Nobody will know about it, she continued to urge him. We know, David and the others said with raised eyebrows. Shut up. Why are you guys still lingering out here anyway? If you're thinking about hooking up, sorry, but I only have Leon in my eyes tonight, she said to them. Have fun, you two, Jeff said with a bittersweet smile on his face before entering his room. David and Dean also did the same. Lightsonville. Sorry, but I'm really tired and we need to wake up early tomorrow, Leo said to Trista when she looked at him with anticipating eyes. Don't be like that. I swear you'll have a good time. Maybe next time, Leo said to her with an apologetic smile on his face before escaping into his room. Che. He's not an easy one. Trista sucked her teeth after realizing that she'd failed. But he didn't completely reject me. I still have a chance. Trista smiled as she returned to her own room. Once he returned to his room, Leo immediately laid on the bed. Why did you reject her company? She's got a pretty hot body, not to mention her busty breasts. Humans love to mate with each other, don't they? Lilith asked him. Light's novel. I don't know where you got that information, but I'm not the type of man who sleeps with a woman that I just met. Then would you do it with someone like Miss Camille? Lilith suddenly asked. Leo was surprised by her question and couldn't respond. Seeing his face getting slightly rosy, Lilith covered the smug smile on her face with her hands and chuckled. I see. So you wouldn't mind sleeping with Miss Camille, huh? I don't blame you. She's a top beauty with a smoking hot body. I doubt there are any men out there who would refuse the company of a high-quality woman like her. Keep your delusions to yourself. I'm going to sleep, Leo said as he closed the lights and then his eyes. Since he's going to sleep, let's go look around. Lilith disappeared from the room shortly after. However, now that she's bound to Leo, she couldn't just go whenever she wanted like before, and she had to remain within a certain distance of Leo, or she would not be able to absorb his mana and keep her soul nourished. Meanwhile, shortly after Trista returned to her own room, she went to the bathroom to remove her makeup. After that, she took another quick shower before entering the bed. However, right as she closed her eyes, her phone began ringing. A notification? Trista grabbed her phone and opened it. This is... Her eyes widened with shock when she saw the contents of the notification. After staring at her phone with a look of disbelief for many moments, she jumped out of the bed and left her room without even bothering to wear her slippers, going into the hallways barefooted. Sometime later, Trista, Jeff, David, and Dean sat in the same room with solemn expressions on their faces. So the rest of you also got the notification? Jeff asked them. Yes, I just got it. David nodded. I can't believe this is happening. Dean sighed. What should we do? Trista asked them with a perplexed expression on her face. You mean what are you going to do? I already know what I am going to do, Jeff said with a resolute face. Seriously? You're going to do it? Dean looked at him with a dumbfounded face. Of course, Jeff nodded. Trista swallowed nervously and she spoke. I don't know. This seems a little... Listen, I can either do this by myself or we can do this together. I mean, Jeff and the others continued their conversation for a whole hour before they all came to a conclusion. What should I do about this information? Lilith mumbled to herself after listening to their whole conversation. I should tell Leo about this, but he wouldn't believe me. In fact, this could be the perfect opportunity for him to understand the reality of our world. Although it's going to be a little risky, I'm doing this for your own good, Leo. Lilith sighed inwardly. The following morning, Leo woke up before sunrise and went to wash his face. Sometime later, he gathered in the lobby with everyone else. What's wrong? Did you guys not sleep last night? Leo raised his eyebrows when he saw Trista and the others' exhausted appearance. I guess I ate too much for dinner yesterday. It's fine. I will get some sleep when we start going back to Stellar City, Trista said after yawning. A few minutes later, Tammy showed up and led them to the vehicle. Once you guys return to Stellar City, my associate Robin should be there waiting for you. He's a short guy with red hair, you won't miss him. He will handle everything so you don't need to worry about the cargo. If he's not there, call the Adventurers Guild and let them know of the situation, Tammy said to them when they arrived at the vehicle. One more thing. I shouldn't need to warn you about this, but if my cargo is missing anything, I will hold all of you accountable for the missing items, and you could even lose your adventurer license. Don't worry, Mr. Tammy. We won't touch the cargo, Jeff said with a smile on his face. Wait, what if the monsters somehow damage the cargo? Leo suddenly asked. You don't need to worry if it was caused by monsters, but my drivers will be there to witness everything, Tammy said. Understand. Leo nodded. Sometime later, everyone except Tammy entered the vehicle, leaving Fairwood City. Shortly after Leo and the others left Fairwood City, Lilith hovered in front of him and said with a stern expression on her face, Leo, listen to me and remember what I am about to say. What's the matter? Why are you so serious? He raised an eyebrow at her. You will understand later, but for now, listen to me. When I give you the signal, I want you to use Dark Shield. Do not even think about anything else, just use it. Mind explaining to me what is going on? He asked. I would love to, but due to circumstances I cannot. You might blame me later for this, but I don't care. I am doing this for your own good. Leo was speechless, and an uneasy feeling appeared in his guts. What did I just tell you? Lilith asked him a moment later. When you give me the signal, I will use Dark Shield. Good. However, Lilith would continue to remind him throughout the day. Besides that, she barely spoke a word, almost as though she was focused on something else. This made Leo even more suspicious of her, but there was nothing he could do, as she would just refuse to tell him anything. Once it was getting dark, Leo and the others prepared to be swarmed by monsters. The moment the sun disappeared into the horizon, David's voice resounded from the lookout spot right before the vehicle came to a full stop. We have monsters! Once the vehicle stopped, Leo and the others went outside to deal with the monsters. Just like before, Leo started off with a powerful attack that would wipe out a majority of the monsters before the fight even began. When the monsters were close, he would use Black Flame, but when the monsters were too far away for Black Flame to hit, he would multicast Black Bullet and snipe them from a distance. Trista and the others would finish off the monsters during their disarray. After harvesting all of the mana cores, they all returned to the vehicle. They would encounter 2 more packs of monsters during that night. You have completed a quest, plus 100 magic points. Leo checked the quest shop after finishing the quest to see if there were any changes after doing the maximum amount of the monster quest. Sure enough, there was a change. Quest shop. Kill 500 monsters, 75 MP. Reward, 1,000 magic points. 1,000 magic points at the cost of 75 magic points. This is a no-brainer. Leo immediately purchased the quest after seeing it. Even though he does not get any magic experience from doing these quests, he was more than satisfied by the amount of magic points he could get from it. I'm going to sleep, Leo said to them when it was finally sunrise. All right. Good work, Leon, Dean said to him. Once he was inside the cramped bedroom, Lilith said to him, I wouldn't go to sleep if I were you. Huh? Why not? He asked with raised eyebrows. I have a feeling that there's going to be another pack of monsters blocking the way very soon, she said. If you had such a strong sense for monsters, why didn't you warn me before we were attacked for the last few days? He frowned. Lights Flamikronem. She shrugged. You never asked. He narrowed his eyes at her. You're acting so suspicious today. Just what is going on with you? Trust me, I am doing this for you. Whatever. I'm too tired to deal with your nonsense. I'm going to sleep. Leo ignored her and closed his eyes to go to sleep. Lilith didn't say anything else and went back outside to see what the others were doing. Trista and David were casually sitting there while Dean was on the lookout. As for Jeff, he'd disappeared somewhere, but it didn't take long before Lilith found him in the front of the vehicle speaking with the 2 drivers there. Here, look at this. Jeff showed them something on his phone. When the drivers saw what was on his phone, their eyes widened with shock. Seriously? They asked him. Seriously? He nodded with a serious expression on his face. And we're going to do it during the next stop. If you help us, you'll get a share of the reward Lights novel. The drivers swallowed nervously before looking at each other. What do you want us to do? One of them asked. It's simple. All you need to do is... All right, I'll do it. The drivers agreed to his plans. Good. Jeff smiled upon hearing their answers. A few hours later, the vehicle came to a sudden halt. Leon, we're under attack. Trista busted into the bedroom and shook Leo awake. Leo didn't ask any questions and immediately rushed outside. Sure enough, there was a group of monsters surrounding the vehicle. However, there was an abnormal amount of monsters there. Compared to what they normally encounter, this pack of monsters was at least twice if not 3 times as large. What the hell? Why are there so many monsters? He cried inwardly after seeing the scene. But he was not in any situation to ponder, so he immediately used black flames, roasting every monster that was unfortunate enough to be touched by it. Almost like an exterminator with a flamethrower, Leo walked around while spewing a long line of black flames from his palms. When the monsters saw this, they instinctively avoided his black flames. Some of the monsters tried to attack him from behind, but he would step away to safety. As for the others, they were also trying their best to fight the monsters, but that's not what Lilith saw. In her eyes, these adventurers were looking for an opportunity. Once most of the monsters were defeated, Trista and the others turned to look at Leo, who was finishing off the last few monsters around him. They exchanged gazes with each other. Let's finish this, Jeff said in a cold voice. The others nodded. They proceeded to raise their palms and pointed it towards Leo and the monsters. When Lilith saw this, she shouted out loud, Leo! Use Dark Shield now. Use Dark Shield. Now, she repeated. Although he was on the verge of finishing the last monster with his sword, Leo immediately activated his Dark Shield when he heard Lilith's voice. Since they were in the wilderness and it was still daytime, there were almost no shadows in that area beside Leo's own shadow and the shadows from the corpses. Still, it was more than enough for him to create a powerful barrier around his body. Literally a second after Leo used Dark Shield, a barrage of magic spells struck his location and his barrier, knocking him and the monster a few meters away. The magic spells were strong enough to crack the Dark Shield, but it was not enough to completely destroy it. Leo quickly stood back up after being knocked down with a puzzled expression on his face. Everything happened so quickly that he was still trying to comprehend the situation. He subconsciously turned to look at Trista and the others. His face froze when he saw the expression on their faces. Shock, fear, surprise, regret. They all looked as though they had committed something bad and were regretting it. And then he saw their trembling hands that were still pointed in his direction. What the hell are you guys doing? That attack just now could have killed me if I didn't protect myself in time. He asked them in a dazed voice, not willing to believe that they had just tried to kill him with a surprise attack. Sorry, Leon. We wanted to help you with that monster. Are you okay? Trista said to him in a trembling voice. She's lying, Leo. They wanted to kill you just now. In fact, they had planned on killing you since last night. I wanted to tell you earlier, but you wouldn't have believed me, so I had no choice but to let you see it for yourself. Their betrayal. Lilith finally told him the truth. They planned on killing me since yesterday? Why? Leo was in disbelief. Why would they suddenly want to kill him when they were so friendly with each other? He was even beginning to see them as his real friends. Did he do anything to offend them? Is it because I have been hogging all of the kills? Is that why you want to kill me? No. That doesn't make any sense. Nothing about this makes any sense. He cried out loud. Calm down. This is just a huge misunderstanding, Leon. Jeff suddenly stepped forward and began approaching him. Stay back. Leo subconsciously pointed his palms at them. Jeff and the others immediately raised their hands and froze their bodies when they saw this, as they knew what Leo was capable of, and they have seen him doing the same gesture multiple times by now. They feared that if they moved even a little, their bodies would immediately be riddled with holes like the monsters Leo had killed before this using Black Bullet. Furthermore, they had lost their chance to kill him when he survived their surprise attack. They were at his mercy now. Tell me, why are you all trying to kill me? Did I do something to offend you guys? Tell me why I should not kill all of you right now for stabbing me in the back. Leo gritted his teeth, his eyes filled with anger and anguish after being betrayed by these people that he thought he could trust and call companions. I didn't want to do this either, but I had no choice. You have to trust me on this one, Leon, Trista said to him with tears flowing down her face. Bullshit. As if I can believe anything that comes out of your mouth now. Miss Camille was right. Adventurers cannot be trusted. I was too naive. But even then, why did they suddenly decide to kill me? We had to kill you because there's a bounty on your head, Jeff suddenly said in a loud voice. What? A bounty? Why would there be a bounty on my head? I didn't even do anything. Leo frowned when he heard this, as he believed that it was just an excuse. After all, it hasn't been that long since he became an adventurer, and this was his first official mission. He didn't offend anyone either, so it didn't make any sense for someone to put a bounty on his head. Furthermore, he'd only spoken to very few people as Leon, and all of the people who knew Leon had no reason to put a bounty on him. Leo suddenly thought of Miss Camille for some reason. Did she put a bounty on me as part of training? No. She wouldn't do something this dangerous and devious. He didn't want to believe that it was Miss Camille who put a bounty on his head, as she was someone who hated betrayal. However, it was true that she wanted him to experience the cruelty of this world by himself, and his current situation is exactly that, a cruel reality. It's true, Leon. There's really a bounty on your head, David said. We received a notification yesterday night right after we returned to our own rooms. It's an official bounty, and we would receive $1 billion if we could kill you. It's not just the money. We were promised a free promotion as an adventurer, so I would become a B-rank adventurer, Jeff said. Leon, I was opposed to it. I didn't want to kill you. However, these guys all decided to kill you, and if I didn't do the same, they would have gotten rid of me too. Please. I don't want to die, Trista said with tears flowing down her face. She's lying, Leo. Although Jeff was the first to come to a decision, Trista was the one who convinced the other two to kill you, Lilith said. Leo gritted his teeth and asked them, who put the bounty on me? We don't know. We only saw the notification and the reward. Dean said. Please. Spare us. We will give up on the bounty, David said. Leo narrowed his eyes and stared at them in a cold manner. I may be naive at times, but I am not stupid. Miss Camille was right. I am no longer in my old world. I need to stop acting like I am still in a forgiving world. If I want to survive in this world, I will need to act like I am part of it. A vicious light flickered within Leo's eyes, and Lilith could tell that something within him had changed at that moment. She suddenly noticed the front doors of the vehicle open, and two people came out of it with rifles in their grasp. Leo, watch out, she exclaimed. Leo snapped his head to look at the two drivers for the vehicle and pointed his palms at them while they pointed their rifles at him. Bang! Bang! Two loud and distinct noises resounded as the men with the guns opened fire on Leo. At the same time, Leo also released the black bullet that he had been holding back this entire time. The barrage of black bullets took down one of the bullets, but the other one managed to avoid the black bullets and reach Leo, grazing his right cheek. The moment Leo could feel a burning sensation on his face, the barrage of black bullets reached their targets. Two drivers fell to the ground as lifeless corpses after their bodies were riddled with holes. Despite killing another human for the first time, Leo couldn't feel any remorse. If anything, his anger flared after being shot by the drivers. Now, Trista's voice suddenly resounded. Shit, lights novel. Leo cursed inwardly as he sensed a slight mana disturbance coming from the others, who took advantage of his distraction to cast their magic spells. However, he didn't completely panic. After training with Miss Camille, who would constantly attack him when he least suspected it, he got used to reacting to sudden magic spells flying at him, and compared to Miss Camille's casting speed, these adventurers were as slow as a turtle. As the magic spells were released by the casters, Leo actually turned to face the others and walked towards their magic spells, dumbfounding them. Lights flamikronem. However, right as the magic spells were about to make contact with his body, Leo suddenly disappeared from his location and appeared a few meters behind the magic spells. After missing Leo, the magic spells continued to fly until they fell to the ground several meters away, hitting nothing. It was fun while it lasted, Leo muttered in a low voice as he pointed his palms at Trista and the others. "Wait!" Trista shouted as she gestured for him to stop. Leo ignored her and released his magic, but it was not Black Bullet. Instead, a long line of black flames spewed from his palms and engulfed the adventurers. "Yeah." Trista and the others screamed in pain as their bodies were quickly incinerated by the vicious black flames. Leo gritted his teeth and watched them burn without blinking until they eventually stopped moving. Once the black flames dissipated, only their badly charred bodies remained. Leo fell on his knees afterward, and he proceeded to puke out everything in his stomach while tears flowed from his eyes. Lilith didn't say anything to him and waited for him to calm down. Sometime later, Leo went back inside the vehicle and laid on the bed with a dazed look on his face. After an unknown amount of time had passed, Leo opened his mouth and spoke in a low voice. "Lilith, why didn't you tell me earlier about their betrayal? What if they succeeded in killing me? I didn't tell you because I wasn't sure that you would believe me, and I am well aware of the risks. However, I wanted to show you the reality of our world no matter what. I'm sorry. If you want to blame me, go ahead." Lilith responded with a tranquil expression on her face which implied that she didn't regret her decision. Leo scoffed. "Do you really take me for an idiot? Why wouldn't I believe you?" "Eh? You would have believed me?" "Through watching humans for hundreds of years, I learned that most of you would rather believe what you want to believe instead of the truth until it's shoved in your face because you all instinctively prefer to walk the easier route over the more difficult one. Nina Wraith is the perfect example. She lived in a delusion that she could revive her mother until she saw the reality with her very own eyes. I guess I underestimated you, Leo. I'm sorry. I won't blame you, nor am I angry. However, you shouldn't do this again. Don't assume things for me, especially when my life is in danger. I might not be able to forgive you for a second time," Leo said. "I promise." She vigorously nodded her head. "Anyways, our problem isn't solved yet. There is still a bounty for my head out there, and I just killed the drivers for this carriage. What should I do now? What will the Adventurers Guild think of this situation? They might even revoke my adventurer's license because of this. I don't think you have to worry about that. It was simply self-defense that you killed them. As for the drivers, they also tried to harm you," Lilith said. "Course it is, but is there any proof? We're the only ones who know the truth, and you don't even count because only I can see you. These things happen more often than you think. I'm sure they'll understand if you explain everything to them. Furthermore, if it's true that there is a bounty on your head, they can look it up and that should be more than enough proof." Leo frowned and asked, "How do these things even work? Can anybody make a bounty? Like, can I put a bounty on someone who doesn't deserve it? That just sounds crazy and chaotic to me. No, I don't think that's how it works. Bounties are only given to convicted criminals. If it's an official bounty, it must be approved by the Adventurers Guild and the government. However, you're just a nobody who became an adventurer recently and your identity is even fake. This bounty on you is most likely unofficial despite what that guy said." Leo pondered for a moment before asking her, "I don't want to suspect her. But do you think Miss Camille is behind this?" "Miss Camille, huh? I want to say that's impossible, but nothing is impossible in this world, so I wouldn't rule her out completely. However, I think it is very unlikely for her to be the one behind this. After all, she's someone who hates any sort of betrayal, and this is definitely considered one if she was behind it." That's what I am thinking. I guess we'll find out once we get back to the city and ask her. Leo sighed. Leo went outside to harvest the monster's mana cores once after spending an hour calming down. What should I do with their bodies? Leo asked Lilith as he pointed at the burnt corpses and the dead drivers. Just leave them here. The monsters will make sure there will be nothing left of them, she calmly said. All right. Once all of the mana cores were harvested, Leo went to take a quick shower before chugging down a low-grade healing potion, immediately healing the grazed wound on his cheek. He went to the front of the vehicle and sat in the driver's seat. I have never driven a car before, and I don't even know where I am going. I hope they have a navigator. Fortunately for him, the keys were still in the ignition and he wasn't completely clueless about cars. After giving it a good twist, the engine started back up. There should be a navigator in the vehicle's dashboard. I watched the other drivers for a bit and I saw them looking at it. Lilith pointed at the screen right in the middle of the vehicle. Leo fiddled with the screen until he found the navigator. All right, let's hope this is the direction back to Stellar City. We should be 2 days away from the city, but since I am driving this by myself, it'll probably take an extra day or two. Leo placed his hands on the large steering wheel and slowly stepped on the accelerator. The vehicle responded to his actions by slowly moving forward. Once he was used to the speed, Leo increased the pressure on the accelerator a little more, increasing the speed of the vehicle. He started out at 10 miles per hour but quickly ramped it up to 25 miles per hour, then 35, eventually hitting 60 miles per hour. Haha, this is actually pretty fun, he exclaimed as he got close to 100 miles per hour. Of course, he only dared to go this fast because he was in the wilderness without any obstructions in his path. Lilith, can you be on the lookout for me? Leo asked her while he kept his focus in the front. I am already on it, Lilith said as half of her body was sticking out of the roof of the vehicle. A few hours later, Leo slowed the car when he noticed a group of figures up ahead, eventually coming to a full halt. A group of monsters, huh? He went outside and proceeded to throw void spears at the monsters. Without needing to worry about hitting his teammates by accident, Leo was able to unleash his most powerful attack at will. Every void spear would create a big explosion, killing many monsters at once and even causing the ground to tremble slightly. A few void spears and several black bullets later, Leo went to harvest the mana cores. I swear, this is getting tedious. It was fine at first because I was new to it, but harvesting mana cores is getting annoying really quickly. Isn't there a way for me to harvest them quickly? You can hire someone to do the work for you. It's a real profession in this world. They're called harvesters. You want me to work with someone after what happened with my first team? I prefer working alone if I have a choice, he said. If you don't trust them, you can make it so that they won't ever be able to betray you. Soul enslavement works on living beings too, you know. Leo looked at her with wide eyes. You want me to enslave the soul of living beings? That sounds like something only a villain would do. Then you have no choice but to hope your future partners won't betray you, unless you plan on being alone for the rest of your life. Also, it's not like everyone in this world is untrustworthy. You'll just have to choose who you trust wisely. Of course, the easy way is to use soul enslavement. I'll think about these kinds of things once I return to the city alive, Leo said as he returned to the driver's seat. After driving for an entire day and a half without resting, Leo felt like sleeping on the steering wheels. I'm freaking exhausted, but I cannot sleep. What if monsters attack during my sleep? That would be disastrous. He sighed out loud. You can go ahead and sleep. I will wake you up if anything happens, Lilith suddenly said to him. Lightsonville. You will? I'm a pretty heavy sleeper when I am exhausted, so I probably won't wake up to your voice, and it's not like you can shake me awake with your untouchable body, he said with raised eyebrows. Who said anything about waking you up with my voice? Now that I am bound to you, I can do things like this. Close your eyes for a second. Leo didn't ask any questions and closed his eyes. Wake up. Lilith's voice suddenly boomed inside his head, sounding as though she had a speaker right beside both of his ears, startling him to the point where he physically jumped. Fuck. That's terrifying. I forbid you to do that unless it's an emergency. Leo cried out loud afterward. I know. Anyways, unless you're in a coma or something, my voice should be able to wake you up during emergencies. Alright, then I'll go to sleep now. Leo went to the bedroom and was immediately knocked out by his exhaustion. Lights novel. Fortunately for Leo, he had 10 hours of uninterrupted sleep. I'm surprised there were no monsters for this long, he said after waking up. Actually, there were plenty of monsters. Even now, there are some monsters camping outside the vehicle. What? Why didn't you wake me up then? He exclaimed. This is a pretty durable vehicle and none of them tried to break inside, so I left you alone. Otherwise, I would have woken you up at least once every hour. Of course, if you want me to wake you up every time a monster approaches the vehicle, I don't mind doing that. No, don't do that. And thank you for being considerate, Leo said. Anyways, how many monsters are outside right now? I'll kill them quickly before we continue moving. There's 2 monsters resting right in front of the door and 1 resting on the cargo, said Lilith. All right. Leo retrieved his sword and quietly made his way to the door. He rushed outside after opening the door, quickly killing the 2 monsters before they could react. He then turned to point his finger at the monster on the cargo, shooting it down with Black Bullet. After harvesting their mana cores, Leo sat in the driver's seat and continued his journey back to the city. How many more miles? Lilith asked him some time later. According to the navigator, we're 1,500 miles away from our destination. We should arrive tomorrow if everything goes smoothly, he said. I see. An hour later, Lilith suddenly said, Watch out, Leo, we have company. Monsters? Where? I don't see anything, because it's approaching you from behind and they're not monsters. There's another vehicle behind you and they seem to be chasing us. What? Are they enemies? Most likely. I'll go scout them once they get close enough, so slow down a little and prepare for battle, Lilith said. Sometime later. I'm going to scout them now. I will be right back. Once the unknown vehicle was close enough, Lilith flew into it to spy on the situation inside. There were 5 people inside the vehicle including the driver, and they appeared to be adventurers judging by their appearance and aura. However, these adventurers were fully armed and seemed to be ready for battle. This bastard isn't stopping even though I have been signaling for him to stop. The driver inside the vehicle suddenly cursed. I don't blame him. He's got a bounty on his head after all. One of the adventurers spoke. Should we just shoot him down with magic? We're close enough to do that, said another as he smiled. The cargo belongs to Mr. Tammy, right? I wouldn't want to risk damaging his cargo and offending him. We'll just keep chasing him for now. If he truly has no intention of stopping, we'll shoot him down before he can reach Stellar City. Once she had all of the information she needed, Lilith returned to Leo's side and told him everything. These bastards. How did they even find me? Does this vehicle have a tracker or something? Is Tammy also behind this? Leo exclaimed as he sped up the vehicle. I don't think Tammy is aware of your bounty. There was nothing suspicious about the way he acted. As for how these people know your location, I'm not sure. Maybe you can spare one of them for questioning. Spare one? Humph. That'll depend on their luck. Leo sneered in disdain. What do you have planned? Lilith asked with a curious expression. I'm going to attack them before they can attack me. After mentally preparing himself, Leo took a deep breath before hitting the brakes. The driver for the other vehicle was surprised when Leo's vehicle came to a sudden halt, subconsciously hitting the brakes as well. What the fuck? Give us a warning before you hit the brakes. The adventurers in the back cursed out loud. Meanwhile, Leo was already out of his vehicle with a void spear in his grasp. When the driver saw this, his eyes widened with shock and he screamed, "Brace yourselves!" He's going to, boom. The void spear Leo tossed at them had reached their vehicle and detonated before the driver could even finish his sentence. You have completed a quest, plus 10 magic points. Prior to attacking his chasers, Leo had purchased the quest that required him to defeat an F-rank adventurer. After tossing the void spear, Leo calmly approached the flipped vehicle. Fuck. What just happened? He could see someone crawling out of a hole in the vehicle. He's the only one that's alive, Lilith said after scouting inside the vehicle and seeing 4 bloodied corpses inside. Good, Leo said as he retrieved his sword and stabbed it into the man's hand, pinning him to the ground. Heya! Fucks. The man screamed in pain. Why you? Please. Spare me. Why are you doing this? What did we do to offend you? The man cried out loud. Acting innocent, huh? You were going to kill me, so I had no choice but to act, or did you expect me to just sit there and let you take my head? Leo spoke in a cold voice. What? That's nonsense. We didn't want to kill you. Then why were you chasing after me? We just wanted to ask you for directions. We even signaled for you to stop, but you didn't, so we had no choice but to chase after you. The man exclaimed. Leo raised his eyebrows. Oh, so that's why their lights were flickering, he thought to himself. Of course, Leo didn't believe the man when he said that they were only trying to ask for directions. By the way, you can stop the act now. I know you're chasing after me because of my bounty. I have a few questions for you. If you answer them truthfully, maybe I will spare your life, Leo said a moment later. Seeing the vicious glare from Leo, the man silently nodded his head. Who put the bounty on my head? Leo started asking questions. I don't know. Most bounties won't reveal the person who created it. Then how did you find me? And don't tell me it was just a coincidence. I won't believe it. We were given information about your whereabouts when we accepted your bounty. However, it was information about your route. My route. Leo raised his eyebrows. Is he talking about the navigation that I have been following? I guess it makes sense if I am following a certain route. If you had managed to kill me, what do you plan on doing? Who do you go to for the bounty rewards? The Adventurers Guild handles all bounties and their rewards. The Adventurers Guild, huh? Thanks for the information. Are you going to spare me now? The man asked him in a desperate voice. Huh? You want me to let you go after you admitted to wanting my head? Fuck off. You? The man's eyes widened with shock, but before he could say anything, Leo flicked his sword, severing the man's head. Leo stared at the headless corpse with a tranquil expression on his face. Lights fell. Hey, Lilith, is there something wrong with me? He suddenly asked her. Why are you asking that? It hasn't been that long since I killed another human being for the first time, yet I don't feel anything when I killed this guy. My heart is beating calmly, and I don't even feel any guilt. It's almost as though I have been doing this for a long time. Am I a sociopath? Lilith shrugged and said, No matter what you do, it always gets easier after doing it for the first time, and that applies to murder as well. I wouldn't be worried if I were you, and even if you were a sociopath, who cares? That would actually benefit you and make it easier for you to survive in this world. Sometime later, Leo returned to his own vehicle. Ah, damn it. I forgot. I should have purchased another quest before I killed him. I was too hasty. Leo cried out loud after realizing this. He proceeded to purchase the quest in case he gets attacked by other adventurers again. Purchased quest for 1 magic points. Quest, defeat an F-rank adventurer. Reward, 10 magic points. Several hours later, Leo had to stop the vehicle to deal with another group of monsters. Black Flame's mastery rank has increased to S. As they got close to Stellar City, another vehicle could be seen approaching them from behind, and Lilith immediately warned him. I'll go scout them out. Once the vehicle got close enough, Lilith went to spy on the situation inside Light's novel. There were 8 adventurers sitting inside this vehicle, and most of them were wounded. After spending a couple of minutes inside this vehicle, Lilith returned to Leo and reported to him, "You can relax. They don't seem to be here for you. Since we're nearing the city, it's normal to encounter other adventurers." "All right," Leo sighed in relief after hearing her words. Since he didn't like the feeling of another car following him from behind, Leo purposefully slowed down to let the vehicle pass him. Eventually, Leo could see the city walls. "I am finally home," he sighed in relief after realizing that he'd survived the wilderness. Once he reached the city walls, Leo parked the car at the location given to him by the navigator. Before even exiting the vehicle, Leo could see a short man with red hair approaching his direction. "Hello, I am Robin. Is this Mr. Tammy's cargo?" Robin asked him sometime later. "Yes, it is." "Great. By the way, where are the others?" Robin asked when he noticed nobody else coming out of the vehicle. "About that, we ran into some complications, so I am alone," Leo said with a stiff expression on his face. "Complications? What happened? Are the supplies okay?" Robin immediately frowned. "The cargo is fine. As for what happened to the others, I think it would be better if I reported it to the Adventurers Guild instead," Leo said. "I understand. As long as the cargo is fine, I have no reason to bother you. Give us a moment to inspect the cargo. Once we confirm everything is there, we will let you go." "All right," he nodded. Robin and his group proceeded to inspect the cargo. Half an hour later, Robin returned to Leo and said, "Can you sign this? It's just to confirm that you have completed your mission. You can leave after this." Leo nodded and signed the paper. "Thank you, Leon. I will let Mr. Tammy know that the cargo has arrived safely. Thank you for your hard work. For your reward, please pick it up at the Adventurers Guild." Leo called for a taxi and went straight to the Adventurers Guild after leaving the cargo with Robin. Sometime later, Leo entered the Adventurers Guild. He went to the front desk and said to the worker, "I am here to report back from my mission. I would also like to report about an incident that had happened during the mission." "I understand. Can I see your ID?" the worker asked him. After handing his ID to the worker, Leo waited for a response. "I have confirmed that you have indeed completed your mission. Your reward is $100,000. How do you want the payment?" "You can put it in here." Leo handed her his bank card. "All done." The worker returned his bank card before continuing. "Now about the incident. You can either give me a brief explanation here, or I can call someone to take your full report. Either way, we will investigate it according to the situation." "I'd like to speak with someone," Leo said. "I understand. I will put in a request for you right now. Do you have a phone number that we can call? Could take a while before we find somebody." "Sorry, I don't have a phone number," Leo said. Even in his old world, Leo never owned a cell phone, mostly because he couldn't afford one and he had no need for one. "There's no need to wait. I will listen to your report." A familiar suddenly sounded. Leo and the worker turned to look at the person who just spoke. Guildmaster. The worker was surprised to see him, even more so that someone of his status would be willing to do such work. "Follow me," Guildmaster Boris said while looking at Leo. "Okay." Leo nodded and followed him to his office. "Make yourself at home," Guildmaster Boris said to him after closing the door. After Leo sat down on the soft couch, Guildmaster Boris sat across from him. "I would normally prepare tea, but you seem to be in distress, so I will skip that and get straight to the point. What happened?" Leo took a deep breath and proceeded to explain the situation to Guildmaster Boris. "The mission went smoothly at first, but when we were on our way back, my teammates attacked me, claiming that I had a bounty on my head, and in self-defense, I killed all of them, including the drivers who shot at me with their rifles." Guildmaster Boris' eyes widened with surprise after hearing Leo's story. "To think such a thing happened on your first official mission. I am terribly sorry to hear it. Can you help me with the bounty issue? I want to know who created it and why." I don't remember offending anyone, and I became an adventurer very recently. Leo asked him. Don't worry, I will definitely investigate your issue. If anything were to happen to you, Camille would definitely throw a fit, and nobody likes it when she's angry. Guildmaster Boris shook his head. And he continued, It might take a while before we have any results, so in the meantime, would you like to take the C-rank promotion examination? Ha! Leo raised his eyebrows in a surprised manner after hearing such words. C-rank promotion examination? I am qualified to take the examination already. Leo couldn't believe his ears, as he didn't think he would actually qualify so quickly. You heard properly. Indeed, you're qualified to take the C-rank examination. I have seen the report made by Tammy Barlow, and he really commended your efforts and talents, even saying that it would be a shame to keep you at D rank, not to mention the results of your recent mission. Therefore, I, as the Guildmaster, have decided to give you a chance to be promoted. So let me ask you again. I want to take the examination, Leo immediately said without hesitation. Guildmaster Boris smiled and nodded, great. Then report back here tomorrow morning for the details. Unlike your previous examinations, the C-rank examination is vastly different and requires you to take on a special mission. Understand? He nodded. Leo left the Adventurers Guild shortly after. Leo, you should be careful around that guy. There's something off about him, Lilith suddenly warned him. Guildmaster Boris? What's wrong with him? He seemed like a pretty genuine guy to me. I don't know, but my instincts are telling me that he's not what he seems. Also, the way he looks at you feels creepy. If you ask me who's behind your bounty, I would put my money on him. Seriously? The Guildmaster of the Adventurers Guild? Even if that is true, how do we fight someone so powerful? I would go seek Miss Camille's help. She's probably the only one who can help you right now. Leo sighed. As much as I want to ask for her help, I don't want to keep relying on her. Let's see how things progress first. You're playing a dangerous game, Leo. However, I like it. If you truly intend on becoming strong and independent, you'll need to learn to solve these kinds of situations by yourself, Lilith said. Anyways, what are you going to do until tomorrow? He pondered for a moment before speaking. I'm going to do some shopping, then I am going to spend the rest of the day in bed. What are you buying? A cell phone. If I see anything else I want, I'll grab it as well. Sometime later, Leo called for a taxi and said to the driver, Global Terminal. Global Terminal? Do you mean Stellar Terminal? Taxi driver asked him. The shopping center? Leo asked. Yes, that would be the Stellar Terminal. I guess it's called Stellar Terminal here. Leo thought to himself. Then take me to that place, he said the following moment. Roger that. Half an hour later, the taxi stopped in front of a large skyscraper. After paying the driver, Leo stepped out of the taxi and tilted his head to look at the skyscraper with a dumbfounded look on his face. What's the difference between this building and the one from your world? Lilith asked him. For starters, it's many times more massive. It was called Global Terminal, one of the most popular shopping centers in the city. Whether it be electronics or books, you could find them all there. Judging by the size of this place, I have high expectations. Leo made his way towards the crowded entrance. Once he was inside the building, he looked around until he could find a map. There were 100 floors in this place, and the electronics were between floors 11 and 20. After walking around until he could find the elevator, Leo went straight to the 11th floor. When he found the section selling cell phones, he began looking around until a worker there approached him. Do you need any help? If you're looking for a specific brand or function, I can help you. Lightsonville. I would like something durable. The brand doesn't matter. As long as it can be used in the wilderness. I see. Then how about these? They're created by Nova, a very popular brand used by many adventurers, and these are specifically built for the wilderness, so all of its functions will work there. Specifically this Model 9X, which is the latest model and most powerful phone currently available. There is a built-in GPS that can track and help you navigate most available routes in this continent so you will never be lost in the wilderness. Furthermore, it can even sense and warn you about nearby mana disturbances. There is also an alert system that will warn you about monster swarms and many other functions. Leo swallowed nervously after digesting all of the information the worker gave him. Light's novel. "How much is this Model 9X?" he asked a moment later. "The price is $500,000 after tax," the worker casually said. $500,000 for a freaking phone? Leo cried inwardly after hearing the ludicrous price. These phones are more expensive than normal phones due to their purpose and special functions. Despite their price tag, they are still very popular amongst adventurers. In fact, pretty much all B rank and above adventurers have one of these phones. However, if you want something cheaper, the older models are around $50,000, but they will have much fewer functions. How durable are they? Leo asked after pondering for some time. They're very durable because they have been enchanted with magic, and it even consists of some anti-magic material. They can survive a direct hit from magic spells with less than 7,000 magic power. As for its physical damage defense capabilities, even C-rank monsters would have a hard time destroying it. If it's that durable, I don't have to worry about breaking it by accident but spending $500,000 on it. Despite all of its useful functions, Leo had a hard time justifying spending so much money on a phone. In his old world, he could easily purchase a large house with this much money. Since this phone can help me navigate through the wilderness, I won't have to worry about being lost anymore, and it could potentially be a lifesaver in the future. Although it'll cost me $500,000, I can just earn it back through missions and other stuff, not to mention the affinity orb that can still be sold. Leo, $500,000 isn't a lot of money if you really think about it. You'll be earning that much and more every day in the future, Lilith said to him, giving him the last push that he needed to come to a decision. "All right, I will buy it," Leo said with a heavy heart. "Great. Please follow me." Leo nodded and followed the worker to the front desk, where they continued the purchase. "Do you want a lifetime warranty for the phone? It'll cost an extra $100,000, but you'll be able to get a free replacement once if it ever breaks or malfunctions, and this warranty will last for as long as you live until you use it. By the way, this warranty doesn't cover lost or stolen phones. I guess." Leo nodded. Since he was already spending $500,000, he might as well spend another $100,000 just in case he ever breaks it. After paying for the phone, Leo immediately placed it inside his spatial ring. He left the 11th floor shortly after, but he didn't leave the shopping center yet. Instead, he went to the 51st floor to look at the artifacts that were being sold there. However, when he saw the price tag for mere F-rank artifacts, he turned around and walked away, not even bothering to look at the others. They want $1 million for mere F-rank artifacts when I can purchase them through the system with a couple of magic points? That's robbery in broad daylight, he cried inwardly as he left. After leaving the building, Leo called a taxi and went to a nearby hotel to rent a room. Once he was inside his room, he took a long bath before spending the rest of the day in the bed fiddling with his new phone. The following morning, Leo made his way to the Adventurers Guild. "I'm here for my C-rank promotion examination," Leo said to one of the workers at the front desk. After checking his ID, the worker said, "I have confirmed your identity. In order to be promoted to C-rank, you must complete a special mission that has already been sent to your account. You can access it through the computer like you do with other missions. If you have any questions, you can come back. I understand." "Thank you." Leo took back his ID and went to look at the special mission. "The hell? It's a bodyguard mission." Leo raised his eyebrows after seeing the special mission in the rank promotion tab that was not there before today. After reading the details of the information, Leo sat there in disbelief. "This is all I have to do to become a C-rank adventurer? Isn't this too easy?" He mumbled to himself. "I think there is more to this mission than it seems, just like Guildmaster Boris." "I wouldn't come to a conclusion so quickly," Lilith said. "You're right. There's no way this is an ordinary bodyguard mission. Hopefully, it's nothing too crazy. After memorizing the information on the screen, Leo retrieved his ID and left the Adventurers Guild. He called a taxi and gave the driver a specific address. The driver's eyebrows lifted slightly after hearing it, but he didn't ask any questions. Half an hour later, Leo got out of the taxi and approached the address from the mission. My God, this place is even bigger than Miss Camille's mansion, Leo exclaimed in a shocked voice after seeing the mansion that could be considered a castle. Leo didn't know how to respond to her words. Is she super ugly or something? This is definitely a trap. He couldn't help but have this thought. However, he couldn't control his curiosity, and he eventually started to turn his head in a slow motion. A few moments later, when he finally laid eyes on the girl sitting on the bed, Leo's eyes widened with surprise. Contrary to his initial beliefs, this young lady wasn't ugly at all. In fact, it was the completely opposite. She was a total beauty and breathtakingly so. She had a doll-like face with skin so smooth and pure that it was like porcelain. Her eyes were round and innocent-looking, but her gaze was sharp and filled with intelligence. However, the most shocking feature was the color of her eyes, which seemed to have been dyed in blood. They were crimson, just like Lilith, who was floating right beside her at this moment, almost as though she wanted him to compare the two of them. When the young lady saw the look on Leo's face, she calmly stood from the bed and walked around the bed before walking towards him with slow and steady steps. Seeing the young lady standing up, Leo could finally see her height, and she was just slightly taller than Nina Wraith, being about a head and half shorter than him. Leo held his breath and mentally prepared himself just in case she was going to hit him. Once the young lady stood a few feet in front of him, she stopped walking and tilted her head slightly to look into his tranquil eyes. "You're not afraid of me? Are you actually blind? Don't you see my crimson eyes?" She asked him in a calm voice. "I see them just fine. Why would I be afraid of you just because of your eyes? Because all vampires have red eyes. Aren't you afraid that I might be a vampire?" The young lady suddenly retrieved a long black dagger from out of thin air, and in a motion that was almost too quick for Leo to see, she brought it right in front of his neck. Oh, so that's why. Leo realized the situation. However, he had gotten used to Lilith and her red eyes, so he didn't really feel anything when he saw her red eyes. "Well, are you a vampire?" Leo suddenly asked her in a calm voice. The young lady didn't immediately respond to him. After a moment of silence, she lowered her dagger and said in a clear voice, "No, I am not a vampire." "Then I have no reason to be afraid of you," Leo said. "You're a weird one. The previous 102 people that came before you all drew their weapon when they saw my eyes for the first time. Do you want to know what I did to them?" she suddenly asked. Leo looked at the blood spatters in the room without moving his head and mumbled, "I have an idea. Let me hear it." "You killed them." A new expression suddenly appeared on the young lady's beautiful face for the first time, and it was a dangerous smile that almost looked inhuman. "I didn't just kill them. I tortured them until their last breath." Leo swallowed nervously inwardly after hearing the young lady's words, but it was her sadistic smile that made him shiver. That damn butler. Normal girls around her age wouldn't talk about killing and torturing, much less actually do them. Guildmaster Boris must have known about this and collided with the Scarlet family. This mission was a death trap. He cried inwardly. "Are you afraid? I can see fear in your eyes," the young lady suddenly said. "Not a chance. I'm just a little taken aback by your words. A young lady such as yourself shouldn't talk about killing and torture," Leo said as he stared directly into her crimson eyes. The more he looked at her eyes, the more he was enchanted by its beauty. "Can you stop staring at me so intensively? It feels weird," she suddenly said in a low voice. "Sorry. I couldn't look away since your eyes are so mesmerizing." The young lady's eyes widened slightly after hearing his words. "You think my eyes are pretty? I don't believe you. Everyone else is disgusted by it, including my own family, but they fear it more than they are disgusted." Leo smiled and said, Then they must be blind. The young lady turned silent for a moment before speaking again. I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Leah Scarlet, and I am the second youngest child in the Scarlet household. You can just call me Leah. Leo nodded. Pleased to meet you, Leah. And he continued. Can you tell me a little more about my mission now? I am supposed to be your bodyguard, but... He looked around the sealed room. What could he possibly be protecting Leah from? As you can probably tell by now, you're not here just to be an ordinary bodyguard. I am also not in danger, so you don't have to worry about suddenly being attacked by outsiders, Leah said. However, this only made Leo more confused. If he's not here as her bodyguard, what was his true purpose here? Leah suddenly pointed to her red eyes and continued, My scarlet eyes is a very rare genetic trait within the Scarlet family's lineage. So rare that there had only been 2 people before me that were born with these eyes throughout my family's entire lineage that has existed for over 1,000 years. Those born with the scarlet eyes are blessed with immense talent and magic aptitude. It is also because of these scarlet eyes that my Scarlet family has managed to stand at the top for hundreds of years. However, while it is one's fortune to have these scarlet eyes, it is also a misfortune at the same time. While most people call them scarlet eyes, it has another name, vampire eyes. It was given this name because of its crimson color that is a common trait of vampires, but that is not the only reason. Every 6 months, my body is overwhelmed with mana, and I will feel an uncontrollable desire for blood. This uncontrollable urge cannot be quelled until I am covered in blood or a week has passed. That is why I am currently inside this secluded chamber and why you're here. Leo swallowed nervously after hearing her words. So I am here to give you my blood? He asked. I don't drink blood. When I say that I desire for blood, I mean the desire to be soaked in blood. In other words, you're here as a sacrifice. What? That's insane. Why would the Adventurers Guild send its own adventurers to their death? He exclaimed. Actually, we hire mercenaries for the role most of the time. Even though we request for sacrifices, the Adventurers Guild has always been reluctant to send their adventurers for obvious reasons. However, for some reason they agreed to send you. That bastard really sent me here to die. Leo cursed Guildmaster Boris inwardly. Anyways, I have already killed enough people, so my desire for blood isn't as strong anymore, hence why you're still standing and talking with me. Wait. You said that it will go away in 7 days, right? Why can't you just wait 7 days? Did you really have to kill so many people? Leo suddenly asked. I did not, but I wanted to. Before you ask, it's because I enjoy it and I love the sensation of blood on my skin. The thrill I get from killing is just amazing. The sadistic smile appeared on Leah's face for a second time, sending chills down Leo's back. With that being said, although I can wait out my lust for blood, it takes a heavy toll on me physically and mentally, especially mentally. If that happens, I will occasionally have these episodes where I would go on a sudden rampage, killing everything in sight until I calm down. It would be problematic if this happened to me while I am in a public area, so the family has decided to quell my bloodlust with sacrifices. And the city is okay with this? Leo couldn't believe it. Of course. The Scarlet family is incredibly influential, but that is only a very small reason why everybody turns a blind eye to us. My potential. They want to use my talents to fight against the vampires and monsters. It is the biggest reason why they are allowing a monster like me to exist. Leo was speechless after hearing this information. This world is truly... He sighed inwardly. Lightsonville. Humans are desperate to get rid of monsters and vampires. It's been like this since forever, Lilith calmly said. So what's going to happen now? Leo asked Leah a moment later. My bloodlust will go away in 3 days, so try your best to survive until then. I don't mind being around you, so it would be a shame if you were to die by my hands, Leah said with a calm expression on her face. I can defend myself, but I can't hurt you. Is that correct? He asked her. Lights novel. She nodded. Although I personally wouldn't mind it even if you hit me back, my family won't share the same sentiments. They will definitely execute you for hurting me, the future of the Scarlet family and possibly the future of humanity. Of course, you wouldn't be able to hurt me even if you wanted to. Did you think that my family would hire someone who can harm me to be a sacrifice? That would be too naive. Leo was utterly speechless by now. He couldn't believe that he would be in such a situation shortly after his last incident. It was almost as though this world was trying its best to kill him at every corner. Is this your way of dealing with me, who doesn't belong in your world? I never asked to be here either, he sighed inwardly. Leah returned to her bed shortly after. Tell me about yourself, she said to him after lying on the bed in her white one-piece dress. You want to know about someone you're about to kill? He asked her with a bittersweet smile. If I know more about you, perhaps I will be less reluctant to kill you. Of course, I have no control over my body during my ramage. Fine. What do you want to know? I don't know. Just tell me everything. Leo took a deep breath and began telling her about his life. Of course, he was telling her about the life of Leon, somebody he made up with Miss Camille. I am just an ordinary guy from an ordinary family who has spent the majority of his life reading books. I became an adventurer when someone noticed my talents and decided to make me one. How old are you? I am currently 18 years old. When is your birthday? April 29th. So you're older than me by 3 months. What school are you attending? I'm not a student. I am a full-time adventurer now. Do you have any magic affinity besides dark? I have wind magic affinity as well. You also have a second magic affinity beside dark magic affinity? How surprising. Leah mumbled. Leo raised his eyebrows and said, You make it sound like you also have dark magic affinity. Because I do. Besides my B-rank dark magic affinity, I also have an S-rank gravity magic affinity. What about you? What rank is your dark magic affinity? Frank. The Adventurers Guild sent someone with S-rank dark magic affinity as a sacrifice? Have they lost their mind? Leah sounded surprised for the first time. What about your magic talent? Is it also S-rank? I didn't bother looking through your information because I expected to kill you long ago. My magic talent is also S-rank. Leah sat up on her bed and turned to look at him with raised eyebrows. S-rank magic talent and S-rank dark magic affinity, not to mention that you also have a second magic affinity. Did you offend someone you're not supposed to? Otherwise, why would they send someone like you to your death? Normally, they would nourish someone like you to fight for humanity like me, Leah asked. Leo shrugged, Don't ask me. I also have an unjustified bounty on my head. You're a lot more interesting than I thought. Well, no matter the reason, I'm glad they sent you. It's been a while since I had such a long conversation with someone. Knock knock. Their door was suddenly knocked on. Young lady, is everything okay in there? Do I need to send in the next sacrifice? Edwin's voice resounded. Leah looked at Leo and showed a very subtle smile on her face before responding. There's no need, this one is still alive. I understand. I will return in a few hours when it's time for lunch. Edwin's voice returned after a moment of silence, as he was surprised to hear that Leo was still alive. How long will he last? He's already survived longer than the previous 102 sacrifices combined. Edwin wondered to himself as he walked away from the confined room. Once they were alone again, Leah spoke. You don't have to be wary of me now. My bloodlust won't return until sunset, so you're safe until then. That is if you don't suddenly make me angry. Leo nodded. If you don't mind me asking, are you also an adventurer? He suddenly asked her. Yes, I am a B-rank adventurer on the verge of becoming A-rank, she calmly responded. I see. Yup, there's no way I can defeat someone like her. Lilith, do you have any advice? At this rate, you will go back to being alone after tonight. He decided to ask her for help. Lilith hovered in front of him with a smile on her face. Yes, I know how you can survive. In fact, if you listen to my suggestion, you'll not only survive tonight but the next 3 days as well. Really? What do I need to do? She shook her fingers in a no-no motion and said, before I tell you about it, you should know about her scarlet eyes. Huh? Why are you telling me this now? Because there's more to it than even the Scarlet family is aware, probably. Anyways, the scarlet eyes actually originated from vampires of a certain bloodline. Lilith revealed this shocking face. What? So she's a vampire after all. I knew it. She's been lying to me to get my guard down. Actually, I don't think that might be the case. Like I had mentioned just now, the true origin of the scarlet eyes is something even her family is probably unaware of, Lilith quickly said. And just because she has the scarlet eyes does not make her a vampire. She's most likely a human, but there's a good chance that she also has vampire genes in her body. The scarlet eyes is a powerful weapon used by the scarlet bloodline. They're vampires with a prestigious bloodline and also one of the strongest vampire clans out there. However, the scarlet eyes can be bestowed to others. This is just a theory, but I believe that the Scarlet family's founders used to be loyal human servants of the Scarlet clan, and they were bestowed the scarlet eyes for whatever reason. What? So the Scarlet family is actually working for vampires? Just how far does this whole go? Leo exclaimed inwardly. Does this mean the Scarlet family are spies for the Scarlet clan? I should probably warn somebody about this, no? He asked Lilith. She shook her head. No, there's no proof that they still work for vampires. Perhaps even the Scarlet family themselves are not aware of their true origin. I think it would be for the best if we don't stick our nose into their business. You're not strong enough to deal with the Scarlet family, much less the Scarlet clan. I agree that we should stay away from their business. I don't want to be affiliated with them. They're too dangerous. I will try my best to forget about them after I finish my mission. Are you okay? You've been standing there in a daze for many minutes now. Leah's voice suddenly resounded. Leo immediately turned to look at her and nodded. Yes. I don't know what else I am supposed to do. Leah patted the empty spot in her bed and said, Come sit down with me. You'll need all the energy you can get for later. Is she really innocent? Leo couldn't help but wonder whether Leon knew about her family's true origin. However, he didn't want to anger her and die an early death, so he went to sit on the bed with her. Isn't it about time you tell me about how I can deal with her? Leo glanced at Lilith without moving his head. Of course. It's actually quite simple. Her mana is the reason why she goes on a rampage. If you can control her mana, you can control her bloodlust. Therefore, you only need to use mana drain on her, Lilith explained. Light's novel. Seriously? That's it? But I can't use mana drain in public. It's a forbidden magic spell, remember? It's either that or you have to fight her without hurting her. You won't be able to defeat her even in a fair fight, so you definitely won't stand a chance against her while handicapped. Therefore, you only have one choice here if you don't want to die. Use mana drain on her. You make it sound so easy. I will need to touch her in order to use mana drain, right? Will she even allow me to use mana drain on her? You won't know until you try. Lilith shrugged. Leo sighed inwardly. If I anger her, she will immediately kill me. However, I will also die if I don't try it and she goes on a rampage. No matter what I do, I am at risk of being killed. If that's the case, I might as well try it. Hey, Leah, what if I tell you that I have a way that will help you control your bloodlust? Would you be willing to try it? Unless you actually like going on rampages. Leo asked her in a nervous voice. Lights Flamikronem. You think I like losing control over my sanity? Although I enjoy killing, I hate the feeling of losing control, and when I lose control, I cannot fully enjoy the moment when I kill. It's just not the same. If you can really help me suppress my bloodlust, I swear that I will never point my blades at you. It would have been fine if she just said the last sentence without the killing part. He sighed inwardly. All right, I will help you. However, you have to promise me something. that you'd keep this a secret between us. Are you going to do something perverted to me? She asked him with a tranquil expression on her face. What? Of course not. The reason you go on rampages is most likely due to your mana. If I use mana drain on you before you can go on a rampage, it should help you control bloodlust. Mana drain? You know that forbidden spell used by vampires? She looked at him with slightly wide eyes. That's why you need to keep this a secret. Promise me that you'll keep it a secret and I will help you. After pondering for a moment, Leon nodded, giving him a silent approval. All right. To tell you the truth, I have never used mana drain before, so I would like to do some sample runs before the real thing. Do you mind? Leo asked her. I don't mind. Then can you give me your hand? I need physical contact to use mana drain. Leah responded by extending her hand to him, almost like a patient during a pulse check. Leo took a deep breath before gently holding her hands. Her hand is so cold. It's almost like I am touching a block of ice. Leo was inwardly shocked after feeling her hands for the first time. After taking a moment getting used to the sensation of her soft and cold hands, Leo said to her, I am going to begin now. Let me know if you feel any pain. She silently nodded. Leo began using mana drain for the first time. I should have probably asked you this before I started, but what happens if I use mana drain when my mana is already full? Leo suddenly asked Lilith as he felt Leah's mana being absorbed through where he was touching her. You'll be fine. The extra mana will just be pushed out of her body. As long as you don't absorb too much too quickly, you will be fine, she said, giving him a peace of mind. Then Leo suddenly heard a cute noise coming from Leah, causing him to subconsciously look at her, and to his surprise, there was a weird expression on her face at this moment, looking oddly blissful for some reason, almost as though she was enjoying the sensation of her mana being absorbed. Are you okay? Leo couldn't help but ask her after seeing her expression, even stuttering in the beginning. Leah gritted her teeth and nodded her head in a stiff manner. Okay, but if it hurts, you must let me know, all right? I don't want to be executed for accidentally hurting you, he said in a low voice. Over the next several minutes, Leo would quietly absorb Leah's mana. The more he used mana drain, the better he got at controlling the amount of mana he absorbed from Leah. However, Leah was anything but quiet, as she would occasionally let out a cute moan that would tickle Leo's heart whenever he heard it, and it became more frequent the longer they did it, almost as though Leah was slowly letting go of her restraints. Leo eventually couldn't handle her moaning anymore and stopped absorbing her mana. All right, we can stop here. I think I have enough experience with mana drain. However, when he released her small hands and tried to retrieve it, Leah suddenly grabbed his hand and said to him in a slightly panting voice, No, don't stop. I want you to keep absorbing my mana. Leo swallowed nervously, but he couldn't just refuse her request, fearing that it might make her angry. It could be dangerous if I absorb too much of your mana. Let's rest a little before we continue. It's okay. I still have a lot of mana left. Keep going, Leah insisted with a stern expression on her face. All right. I'll do it for a little longer. Leo gave up and held her small hands before using mana drain again. Leah suddenly released a satisfied sigh, even rolling her eyes back a little, looking like she was high on drugs. Leo looked at Lilith with a worried gaze. Hey, am I doing this correctly? I feel like there is something wrong here. He asked her. There's nothing wrong with you. This little girl, on the other hand, is a different story. Having your mana drained shouldn't be a pleasant feeling. It makes your body feel incredibly weak, almost like you're going limp. She's a weird one if she enjoys such a feeling. A few more minutes later, Leah's body suddenly collapsed forward, leaning on Leo. Hey, are you okay? Leo immediately stopped using mana drain and supported her by holding her shoulders. Yes, I just feel a little lightheaded, she said in a calm voice. That's mana fatigue. Why didn't you tell me to stop when you're already out of mana? That was incredibly dangerous. I told you to stop me. However, she remained nonchalant and spoke in a calm voice. You only told me to stop when it hurts. I didn't feel any pain, that's why I didn't tell you to stop. Leo's jaw dropped slightly after hearing her words. Why are you being so technical? Are you tricking me into hurting you so that your family can execute me? I will stop using mana drain if that's the case. I'm sorry. Leo suddenly apologized. I won't do it again, so please don't stop using mana drain. If Edwin could see how obedient Leo was acting, he would definitely be shocked to death. All right. However, you're out of mana and I am out of energy. It's impossible to use mana drain now. We will do it again when it's almost sunset. Okay. The two of them proceeded to lie on the bed to rest. Where did you learn mana drain? Leo suddenly asked him as they laid beside each other. A friend taught me. Is your friend a vampire? No, he quickly said. It's okay if you tell me. I won't tell anyone. Leo glanced at Lilith, who nodded her head with a smile on her face. Lights Flamikronem. Fine, she's a vampire. Is that why you're not afraid of me? Because you already know a real vampire? No, my friend has nothing to do with why I am not scared of you. I grew up in a place where vampires don't exist, so I had no reason to fear them in the first place. A place where vampires don't exist? Does such a place really exist in this world? Leo asked in a curious voice. Well, maybe they existed and I just wasn't aware of their existence. Leo made a quick excuse. Is that so? Sometime later, once Leo recovered enough mana and Leo replenished his energy, Leo requested him to use mana drain on her again. Promise me that you will tell me to stop when you're getting low on mana and I will use mana drain on you. I promise, she calmly said. All right. However, right as Leo reached for her cold hands again, they heard a knock on the door. Young lady, is the young adventurer still alive? He's as alive as one can get, she responded. Light's novel. Good. Then my decision to cook for 2 people wasn't made in vain. I am entering the room now. Although he didn't know why, Leo had a gut feeling that he shouldn't be seen sleeping on the same bed as Leo, so he quickly jumped out of the bed and void-stepped to gain some distance from her before Edwin could fully open the door. Edwin entered the room with a long cart that was filled with covered plates of food shortly after. He then retrieved a portable table from his spatial ring before placing it in the middle of the room. After covering the table with a clean white tablecloth, Edwin began setting up the table with the plates and silver utensils for 2 people. Please enjoy yourselves. Edwin bowed to Leo before pushing the cart outside and closing the door. This seems like a lot of food for 2 people. Leo mumbled after seeing the table of food. There were 7 plates of food on the table, and each plate had enough food to feed 2 people. Leo didn't say anything and took a seat on one side of the table. Leo sat down on the opposite side a moment later, and the 2 of them began indulging in the food. Wow, this is amazing. Tastes even better than the food at that luxurious restaurant in Fairwood City. Leo thought to himself as he shoved food inside his mouth without stopping. Meanwhile, Leo would eat her food in a graceful manner befitting of a noble young lady such as herself. However, despite her elegance, she would end up eating much more food than Leo, who was already full after a single plate. Edwin returned to the room about an hour later to clean up the place. This servant will return when it's time for dinner. He bowed to Leo before leaving the room. I'm going to use the restroom, Leo said to Leo. She pointed at the second door inside the room and said, The restroom is in there, but I wouldn't go in there right after eating. You should wait a bit. Leo raised his eyebrows. Why not? He asked. If you don't mind the stench of blood, go ahead. Leo turned to look at the door that was only several steps away and swallowed nervously. He wanted to wait a little, but he was already at his limit. After walking to the door and taking a deep breath, he held his breath before opening the door and going inside. The interior of the bathroom was just as big as the bedroom outside. There was a large square spa in the middle of the room, but the water was red, and there were blood splatters all over the walls and floor, looking like a scene from inside a horror video game. If not for her hobby, she would actually be a very charming girl. What a pity. Leo sighed inwardly as he rushed to finish his business before running out of breath. The moment he came out of the bathroom, Leo spoke in a gentle voice while sitting on the bed. Leon. Mana drained me. She even held her arm out for him. All right. Leo didn't say anything else and started using mana drain on her. A few minutes later, mana drain's mastery rank has increased to E. Leo suddenly released a loud moan almost immediately after Leo's mana drain increased mastery rank. Leo was used to her moaning by now, so he didn't stop using mana drain. However, he quickly realized that Leo was moaning more frequently, and she was even biting onto her lips trying to hold back her own voice. I think we can stop. No. Keep going. I want you to drain all of my mana. Leo swallowed nervously at how erotic Leo sounded just now, but then he recalled her hobby of killing and torturing people and quickly calmed down. Sometime later, Leo spoke in a reluctant voice. You can stop now. Leo didn't hesitate and stopped using mana drain instantly. How do you feel? He asked her afterward. Leo took a moment to catch her breath before speaking in a satisfied voice. I have never felt anything like this before. I don't even know what this feeling is. This is a first for me. What about your bloodlust? Now that you mention it, I haven't felt any bloodlust for a while now. Maybe this will really work? Leo mumbled in a pondering voice. We will find out soon, Leo said as he looked at the time on his phone. They proceeded to rest for a few more hours until Edwin returned with dinner. There is another hour until the young lady loses control. Good luck, Mr. Leon. Let's hope this won't be your last meal, Edwin said to him in a calm voice before leaving the room and shutting the door. After dinner, Edwin returned to clean up the mess. The young lady will lose control of herself in half an hour. Allow me to warn you again, Mr. Leon. You are not to hurt even a single hair on her body no matter what she does to you. If you injure her, your life will be the least of your worries, even if it's by accident. Thanks a lot for your encouragement, Leo said to him in a sarcastic voice. Edwin bowed to Leo before leaving the room and shutting the metal doors behind him. There is only half an hour left. What are you going to do until then? Leo asked him. I would like to save my energy, so I am not going to do anything, he said. Leo, you should prepare, Lilith suddenly said to him after the room turned silent. Prepare? How? I only need to use mana drain on her, right? Don't underestimate the scarlet eyes, Leo. If you think calming her down will be as easy as your previous attempts, you should really prepare yourself. When her scarlet eyes activate, her mana regeneration will increase tremendously. In other words, you'll need to absorb more mana than she can recover. However, since you cannot absorb too much mana at once, you'll need to adjust your absorption rate to just slightly above her mana regeneration, or you will experience mana overflow, which is the opposite of mana fatigue. Your body could explode from mana overflow. Leo swallowed nervously after hearing her words. However, Lilith was not done yet, and she continued, You'll also need to spend more than just a few minutes draining her mana. Prepare some energy potions. You'll need them. Energy positions? I only have 2 on me. Go ask your new friend. Her family should have plenty. Leo looked at Leo, who was silently staring at him. Just in case I don't have enough energy, I will need some energy potion. I have 2 low-grade energy potions on me, and I don't think that is enough. Do you think you can lend me some? Do you need anything else besides energy potions? She asked him. No, I don't. Here. Leo proceeded to retrieve 4 bottles of energy potions from her spatial ring and place them on the bed in front of her. Leo raised an eyebrow after seeing the energy potion. They look a lot different from the ones I won. These are high-quality energy potions. One of them will last you for hours, she calmly said. Leo swallowed nervously after hearing her words. High grade? The medium-grade healing potion was already 5 times more expensive than the low-grade healing potion. How much more expensive are high-grade energy potions than medium-grade? He wondered inwardly. Not to mention how casually she just handed them to him, treating them as though they were just water. As expected of a rich young lady. She can toss out six-figure potions as though they're trash, Lilith said with a smile on her face. Six-figure. Leo was shocked by the price tag. Thank you for these energy potions, he said to Leah after snapping out of his daze. Half an hour later, Leah suddenly frowned and she said, Leon, my body is feeling hot. It's going to begin soon. Leo nodded and took a deep breath. Give me your hand, he said while trying to sound calm. Leah could feel his hands trembling slightly when he held her hands, but she didn't say anything. Suddenly, Ding Lights novel. You have received a special quest. Lights Flamikronem. Quest, calm the scarlet eyes. Description, help Leah Scarlet control her scarlet eyes. Reward, 150,000 magic experience, 750 magic points. A special quest, huh? Now I definitely have to help her. Leo thought to himself as he drank one of the high-grade energy potions. He then held onto Leah's hands and activated Mana Drain. Leah closed her eyes and gritted her teeth as a pleasant sensation spread throughout her body. Leo increased the intensity. Her mana is recovering quicker than you can absorb it right now. I'll tell you when to stop, Lilith instructed him. Leo didn't hesitate and began steadily increasing the amount of mana he drained from Leah. A few moments later, Lilith said, Stop right there! Keep it right here. Roger. Leo proceeded to focus entirely on his mana drain, completely ignoring the weird faces Leah was making beside him. This continued for an hour until Lilith spoke again. Leo, increase the strength of your mana drain again. Her mana regeneration just increased significantly, but this is a good thing. This means she should calm down soon. Leo followed her instruction and further increased the strength of his mana drain until Lilith told him to stop again. Leah was moaning without restraints at this point, but Leo was too focused on his task to care about it. Mana Drain's mastery rank has increased to D. When his mastery rank for Mana Drain suddenly increased, Leo found it much easier to absorb Leah's mana while needing less effort. After another half an hour had passed, Lilith said, All right, her mana regeneration is slowing down. Keep pushing. You're almost done. Leo felt relieved after hearing Lilith's words, as he was on the verge of collapsing from exhaustion. If it were not for the high-quality energy potion, he would have been knocked out ages ago. 5 minutes later, Lilith spoke again. Okay, you can stop now. Leo immediately stopped using Mana Drain and collapsed on the bed afterward. I have never felt this exhausted before. Not even during my training with Chrome or Miss Camille. He cried inwardly. Meanwhile, although she had stopped moaning, Leah's body was still twitching slightly, and on her face was a blissful expression. Once he'd recovered enough energy, Leo sat up on the bed and looked at Leah. How are you feeling? He asked her. Never felt better. She mumbled in a low voice. I meant your bloodlust. It's under control. Leo heaved a sigh of relief. That's good. Although the process is exhausting, at least it works properly. Looks like you will be able to keep your head for a little longer. Lilith chuckled. Edwin knocked on their door about 2 hours after sundown. Young lady, is the young adventurer still alive? He asked her from outside. You're so annoying. I am still alive. Leo responded to him this time. I see. What about the young lady's condition? Edwin spoke a few moments later, clearly surprised to hear Leo's voice. I am fine, Leah replied. Please excuse me. I am coming inside for a moment for a quick inspection. Edwin opened the door and entered the room shortly after. He then walked to the bed and quickly looked at Leah to make sure there were no injuries on her body. After seeing that she was unharmed, Edwin turned to look at Leo with a profound expression. You don't seem harmed either, and the young lady's bloodlust ended much quicker than usual. To be completely honest, I wasn't supposed to check up on her for another 3 hours, but I really wanted to see the situation. How did you do it? Edwin asked Leo. Sorry, but I don't have any intention of telling you, Leo calmly responded. Edwin narrowed his eyes at him, but he didn't say or do anything. After a moment of silence, Edwin turned to look at Leo with a puzzled expression on his face. The young lady isn't saying anything either? By the way, my body is all sweaty from all that exercise. Can I leave to take a quick shower? Leo suddenly asked. There's a bathroom here. You are not allowed to leave this room until the end of your mission, Edwin said. You want me to clean myself in a bathroom that's filled with blood? I'll come out even dirtier than before I went inside. That is none of my concern. Let him, Leo suddenly said. Excuse me? Edwin turned to look at her again, his eyes slightly widened. I will not repeat myself, Leo said in a nonchalant voice, yet it sounded very authoritative and threatening. Yes, young lady. Edwin then looked at Leo and said, There's a bathroom in the room right next to this one. You have half an hour to get yourself cleaned up. Thanks. Leo didn't linger in the room for even a second longer and rushed to take a hot shower. Is everything okay, young lady? He didn't do anything weird to you, right? Edwin asked Leo once they were alone. What are you trying to say, Edwin? Even though her face showed no changes after working for her for 18 years, Edwin could tell that she just got a little annoyed by his question. I apologize, young lady. Please ignore my random rambling. I am truly getting old. You may leave, she then said. Understand. Edwin bowed to her before leaving the room and shutting the door. However, he didn't leave completely, as he had to make sure that Leo wouldn't run away. Sometime later, Leo came outside the room with a refreshed look on his face. It's been 35 minutes. You're 5 minutes late, Edwin said the moment he saw Leo. Cut me some slack. You're using me as a sacrifice. I might even die soon. The least you can do is let me relax a little before I die, Leo said in a sarcastic voice. Edwin's eyebrows twitched a little after hearing Leo's words. Lightsonville, you're getting a little too comfortable, young man. Don't forget your place. As long as you're within the Scarlet household, you're at our mercy. If I want you to die, nobody can save you. Edwin spoke with a hint of killing intent within his gaze. Just by his aura alone, even a novice like Leo could tell that Edwin was stronger than Leo. However, he was not scared of Edwin, and the reason was simple. Kill me? You'll need permission from your young lady first, Leo sneered. The killing intent within Edwin's eyes intensified after Leo used Leah's presence to threaten him. I'm going back to the young lady now. She's probably getting lonely without me. Leo turned around and walked towards the metal doors. I swear, if you do anything weird to the young lady, I will not only take care of you but everyone you hold dear, Edwin spoke in a low but cold voice. Leo stopped in front of the metal door and he spoke a moment later. How fortunate for me then. I don't have anyone like that in this world. He opened the metal door and entered the room afterward. However, when he went inside the room, Leo couldn't see Leah's figure anywhere. Is she in the bathroom? He wondered to himself as he took a seat on the bed. That old man is most likely an A-rank adventurer or has the strength of one. Why are you picking a fight with him? Lilith suddenly asked him. Does it look like I am picking a fight with him? She nodded. I'm not doing it on purpose. I just don't like him. It feels like he cannot wait until I am dead, and my survival somehow irritates him. Leo shrugged. Maybe he thinks you're doing something weird to his young lady? After all, a young maiden and a young man staying inside an enclosed room could only mean one thing. Lilith chuckled. You mean it can only mean one thing inside your perverted head? Leo frowned. I mean, your playboy-like face doesn't help with your situation at all. This is a face that Miss Camille had picked for me, Light's novel. So what? That's not how others see you. Lilith shrugged. Damn it. I should have asked Miss Camille to change my face before I became an adventurer. He sighed. It's too late to change now. You're already in the Guildmaster's crosshair, not to mention the Scarlet family. I know that. Sometime later, the door to the bathroom opened, and Leah walked out with her body dripping wet with red water. However, the most shocking part of her appearance was the fact that she was completely naked as of this moment. There was a towel on her head, but it didn't block her most important areas. Why did you walk out like that? At least wrap the towel around your body. Leo immediately turned around when he saw her appearance. Of course, he still saw everything. I don't mind being seen by you, she said in a calm voice. Wow, she's very bold. Is she really that innocent, or is she just teasing you? Even I cannot tell what's on her mind. Lilith chuckled when she saw the situation. Sometime later, Leah finished drying her body and wore her one-piece dress again. It's getting late. Let's go to sleep, Leah said to him as she entered the bed. Leo grabbed one of the pillows on the bed and placed it on the floor beside the door. What are you doing? Leah asked after seeing his actions. What else? It's not like I can sleep on the same bed as you. It's fine. I don't mind sharing the bed with you. There's plenty of room to... Is she doing this on purpose? Leo couldn't help but wonder inwardly. He was hesitant to sleep on the bed not because Leah was a beautiful girl and he was a healthy young man. He was simply afraid of the risks. After all, he wouldn't have any time to react if she suddenly decided to slit his throat while he slept. Are you worried that I might hurt you in your sleep? Don't worry, I won't do such a thing, and I have already decided to never point my weapons at you. It's not that I don't trust you, but what if you suddenly lose control? You won't be able to stop yourself if that happens, Leo said. You worry too much. I only lose control once a day. I don't have to worry about it until tomorrow, she said. Just go sleep with her, Leo. You don't get to share a bed with such a beauty very often. I'll keep watch to make sure nothing happens to you, Lilith said to him with a smile on her face. Leo sighed. All right, I'll sleep on the bed. Leo entered the bed shortly after, but he made sure to sleep near the edge of the bed. Leah stared at him with a nonchalant look on her face from the center of the bed. Good night. He ignored her gaze and closed his eyes. Good night, she responded. Despite his situation, Leo actually fell asleep very quickly. Using mana drain for the entire day had really drained him of his energy. As for Leah, she would silently stare at Leo's sleeping face for many minutes before eventually falling asleep as well. The following morning, Leo woke up to the sensation of something pressing against his chest. When he opened his eyes and saw Leah sleeping on his chest, his eyes widened with shock. However, he didn't dare to move. He then noticed Lilith floating right above him with a smug look on her face. She couldn't sleep last night, so she tried using your body as a pillow. It seems to have worked wonders. And before Leo could say anything, she continued, By the way, that butler is on his way to this room. He'll be here in a few moments. What? He'll definitely kill me if he sees me like this. Leo gritted his teeth and gently rolled Leah off his body, sighing in relief when he saw that she was still sleeping. He then got off the bed and walked to stand beside the door. Knock, knock. I have prepared breakfast. Excuse me. Edwin opened the door and entered the room with breakfast. He immediately noticed Leo, who was standing right beside the door when he opened it. She's still sleeping, Leo said, trying to act like he's been awake for a while. Edwin turned to look at the bed after hearing Leo's words. He frowned when he saw how Leah was still sound asleep on the bed. She's never slept this late before. Edwin thought to himself with a small frown on his face. However, he didn't say anything and still prepared their breakfast nevertheless. Once everything was set, Edwin looked at Leo and said, You are not to touch the food until she wakes up, nor are you allowed to disturb her rest. What if the food turns cold? Are you okay with letting her eat cold food? He asked. Edwin's eyebrows twitched slightly after hearing Leo's words, and he said, She will wake up very soon. If not, I will just prepare it again. So his eyebrow twitches every time he's irritated, huh? That's good to know. Leo smiled inwardly after understanding Edwin a little more. Edwin left the room shortly after. In the end, Leo would not wake up for another 2 hours, so Edwin had to prepare breakfast again from scratch. After breakfast, Leo requested for Leo to use mana drain on her again. Leo didn't even bother trying to talk her out of it and treated it as though it was part of his daily routine. Several minutes later, the two of them would lie on the bed to rest until Leo wanted more. Two of them would continue this routine until lunch, where they took a short break, then they would continue until it was sundown. Once Leo felt her body heating up, she warned Leo, who would proceed to drink a high-grade energy potion before using mana drain on her. Leo quickly realized how much easier it was to absorb Leo's mana compared to yesterday, most likely because of his increased mastery rank with mana drain. With that being said, it was not an easy task to constantly use mana drain, and he would still be on the verge of passing out by the end of their session. Furthermore, his mana drain mastery rank increased to C towards the end. "How are you feeling?" Leo asked her after their session. "I'm fine. My bloodlust is under control," she responded in a calm voice. "Great. Do you mind if I go clean myself?" "Go ahead. Thanks." Leo exited the room and went to take a hot bath. Edwin came to check up on them shortly after Leo left. Did you finally kill that brat?" Edwin trembled in joy when he couldn't see Leo inside the room when he entered. "No, he's still alive. He's just cleaning himself in the other room," Leo nonchalantly said. Edwin's eyes widened with shock after hearing her words. "You allowed him to leave this room by himself. What if he ran away?" Upon realizing this, Edwin rushed out of the room and went to the other room to see if Leo was actually using the bathroom. Meanwhile, Leo was enjoying the experience of taking a hot bath inside a luxurious bathroom that was the size of a spa, not to mention the bathtub that was also a jacuzzi. However, his peace would not last long, as Edwin would suddenly barge into the bathroom without warning. "Hey! Don't you know how to knock? What if I had been doing some private business here? Are you trying to kill me with shame?" Leo exclaimed. "You didn't run away?" Edwin muttered in a dazed voice. "Why would I run away?" Leo frowned. "Although I may be a sacrifice, I am enjoying life right now. Not only am I being fed first-class food 3 times a day, but I even get to be with a beautiful girl like the young lady all day long. Of course, these bathtubs are also great. It's like a massage chair and a bathtub combined." Edwin's eyebrows twitched, and he spoke in a cold voice. "Once again, you're getting way too comfortable. Don't you dare treat this place as though it's your own house. Now get out and return to the young lady at once." However, Leo remained in the bathtub and he said, "I would love to leave, but I can't do it with you standing there and watching me like a hawk. Also, I don't understand why I must be with her at all times. Her bloodlust has already been quenched for the day, so we don't have to worry about it until tomorrow. You don't need to understand anything. You only need to follow orders and do your job properly." Edwin growled in a low voice before leaving the bathroom. Leo got out of the bathtub and returned to Leah's room shortly after, and once again she was nowhere to be found. A few minutes later, she would come out of the bathroom with a towel on her head. Leo quickly turned around and asked, "Are you really cleaning yourself in that red water? Isn't that unhealthy?" "The water is clean. The water is red because it's dyed." "Seriously? What's the point? To make it feel like you're bathing in blood?" "No, I just like the color red." "I see. What about the blood? Are they fake?" Lights fell. "They're real." Leo immediately regretted asking her that question. "Anyways, let's go to sleep. Tomorrow is the last day of your rampage, right?" She nodded. Once Leo entered the bed and laid his head on the fluffy white pillow, Leo approached him and rested her head against his chest without asking, almost as though it was a natural thing to do. Leo didn't say anything, mostly because this was his last night in this place. Just one more day. Endure it. He convinced himself as he tried to sleep, but the fragrance coming from Leah's body made it a lot harder for him to sleep that night. The following morning, Leo woke up before Leah and gently moved her head off his chest. Edwin showed up at the same time with breakfast, and his eyebrows twitched a little when he saw how Leah was still sleeping. 2 days in a row. Something is wrong here, Edwin thought to himself, but he couldn't imagine what was happening to Leah. If only the young lady didn't forbid security cameras inside the room. He sighed inwardly. Fortunately for Edwin, Leah woke up shortly after he entered the room, so he didn't have to make breakfast for a second time. After breakfast, Edwin returned to clean up the mess. "Young lady, how are you feeling? You haven't satisfied your bloodlust for 2 days now. I'm afraid that you might go on a random rampage later," Edwin asked her after cleaning up their breakfast. "I am fine," she calmly said. "That's good, but just in case, I have brought another sacrifice for you." Leo raised his eyebrows after hearing Edwin's words. "I don't need another sacrifice." Leah spoke with a slight frown on her face. "If that's your decision, you can get rid of him. However, he's already here, so there's no point in sending him back now. I will send him here in a bit." Edwin glanced at Leo before leaving the room. "Are you going to kill him?" Leo asked her once they were alone. "You can't use mana drain if he's here, right?" "I will give him a swift death," Leah said in a nonchalant voice. That old man is doing this so Leah could recall the thrill of shedding blood and hope that she might lose control and kill you as well, probably, Lilith said. "That is not going to happen. I am not going to let Leah shed blood before me. That old man is going to be disappointed," Leo said with a resolute expression on his face. "And how are you going to stop her from killing this sacrificial lamb?" Shed asked. Leo suddenly approached Leah and said, "Leah, can you do me a favor and not kill this person?" Leah tilted her head in a puzzled manner. "Why?" "Well, you may like killing, but I actually don't like to see dead people. If I see corpses, I might not be able to use mana drain even if we're alone." "Oh, I see. Then I won't kill him. That was easier than I thought." Leo thought to himself, but he didn't complain. "Thank you." Sometime later, somebody knocked on the door. "Hello, I am Devin, and I am here for the special quest." A young male voice resounded after the knocking. The door opened the next moment, and a young man who had many semblance to Leo with his dark blonde hair and hazel eyes walked into the room. Leo was speechless after seeing this new sacrifice. "That old man is definitely doing this on purpose," he cried inwardly. Once the door closed, Leah left the bed and turned to look at Devin, whose eyes widened with shock upon seeing red eyes. "Why you, a vampire?" Devin subconsciously withdrew his weapon. Leo felt like facepalming at this moment, but he had to keep an eye on Leah so she doesn't kill him. Leah narrowed her eyes slightly, seemingly annoyed by Devin's presence. "You're lucky that I cannot kill you. However, I can still torture you." A cold smile appeared on Leah's doll-like face as she retrieved her black dagger. Leo swallowed nervously after seeing this, and he said, "Leah, I dislike torturing more than killing." Leah's body froze when she heard his words, and she turned to look at him with a profound expression on her face. "Just endure it for today, okay? I will make it worth your effort," Leo continued. Leah turned to look at Devin, who was trembling from fear. "Get lost before I change my mind. Thank you." Devin immediately turned around and ran outside the room. However, he didn't get very far, as Edwin was waiting in the hallways. When Devin saw Edwin, he stopped and shouted in a panicked manner, "Why is there a vampire here? What is going?" Edwin's arm disappeared for a second. The next moment, Devin's body fell to the ground, his head removed. After decapitating Devin with his bare hands, Edwin stared at the corpse with a pondering expression. The young lady allowed him to run away? No. This wasn't done by the young lady. That brat. He's the reason she's been acting weirdly recently. He's a bad influence on her. I must remove him before he could defile her any further. Edwin's eyes emanated intense killing intent. Back inside the room, Leo said to Leah with a smile on his face, "Thank you for holding yourself back. As a reward, I will mana drain you as much as you want today. Okay." Although her expression remained nonchalant, Leo had a feeling that she was happy. They entered the bed shortly after, and Leo began using mana drain on her. Over the next several hours, Leo would spend most of his time using mana drain on Leah. Not only did he consume a high-grade energy potion before starting, but Leah also consumed a high-grade mana potion, so she would have more mana to let Leo drain. "She's definitely addicted to the feeling of her mana being drained," Lilith said as she stared at Leah's dazed expression. "There won't be any side effects to mana drain, right?" Leo asked her. "No, there isn't, but you can kill your target if you drain all of their mana. However, being addicted to the feeling of mana drain could be dangerous for the girl. Once you leave, she will seek other ways to experience the same feeling. Who knows, she might even look for a vampire who can use mana drain." "Seriously? There's no way that she would do something that outrageous, right?" "Who knows? She's a weird girl, and humans are unfathomable creatures that are capable of doing anything." Lilith shrugged. "I mean, even if that's the case, it has nothing to do with me. Once I finish this mission, I will no longer have anything to do with the Scarlet family." "Let's hope that's the case," Lilith said with a slight smile on her face. Sometime later, Edwin knocked on the door. "It's time for lunch, young lady." Edwin entered the room shortly after with a cart, but there appeared to be less plates on the cart than usual. Once he set up the table, it became obvious to Leo why it seemed that way. "Where's my food?" Leo asked when his side of the table was empty. "The mission doesn't state that we have to provide nourishment to you. Previous time was a privilege that you no longer have," Edwin calmly said. "Seriously? You're being that petty? Is it because of what I said the other day in the bathroom? What are you, a child?" Leo scoffed. Edwin's eyes flickered with killing intent. "Imprudent. Know your place, you damned brat." "Leo, watch out," Lilith shouted. Edwin's right arm suddenly flickered, his grasp shooting straight for Leo's throat at lightning speed. Despite Lilith's warning, Leo was unprepared for the sudden attack. In fact, even if he had known that Edwin was going to attack him beforehand, he still wouldn't have been able to react fast enough to block it. Leo's eyes widened, but there were no emotions behind it, as it was too sudden. However, Edwin's hands suddenly stopped right in front of Leo's neck, his fingernails penetrating slightly into the skin. Feeling the sharp sensation on his neck, Leo didn't even dare to swallow. "Young lady." "You." Edwin slowly turned to look at Leah, who had a deep frown on her face, and her hand was holding onto a black dagger. He retrieved his hand after a moment of silence. He then looked down at the right side of his stomach to see the black dagger wielded by Leah stabbing into his body. "Who gave you the permission to attack him?" Leah spoke in a cold voice, her eyes flickering with killing intent. I apologize. I acted on my own accord just now. Please forgive me, young lady." "It will not happen again." Edwin spoke with a pale face, ignoring the pain in his sides. Leah didn't say anything and suddenly yanked the dagger out of Edwin's body without any warnings, causing his blood to spray all over the food. Edwin gritted his teeth at the initial pain, but besides that, his expression remained relatively calm. He quickly pressed his palms against the injury, slowing down his blood loss. "I have lost my appetite. You may leave now," Leah said to him in a nonchalant manner. "Yes." Edwin, still with one hand pressed against his injury, began cleaning up the mess. Meanwhile, Leo just stood there with a dazed face. He was still trying to comprehend the situation. Everything had happened so quickly that he didn't know how to react. After cleaning up the table, Edwin bowed to Leah and said, "Once again, I apologize for my blunder. I will further discipline myself later." He turned around and started walking towards the door. However, before he could take 2 steps, Leah's soothing voice resounded, "Wait. There is still someone else waiting for your apology." Edwin's eyebrows twitched violently after hearing her words. He didn't feel any anger when he was stabbed by Leah, but the thought of apologizing to Leo made his blood boil. Unfortunately, he had no choice but to obey, as it was an order from Leah, who would be the future head of the Scarlet household. After taking a deep breath, Edwin turned around and bowed to Leo. "I offer my utmost sincere apology for attacking you just now. I had acted too rashly. Sincere, my ass." Leo sneered inwardly, not bothering to respond to him. Edwin left the room shortly after. The moment the metal door closed, Edwin quickly retrieved a high-grade healing potion and chugged it down. The wound in his body immediately started healing. He then leaned his back against the wall, slowly falling to his butt, and he proceeded to sit there with a dazed look on his face. The young lady not only protected that brat, she even punished me for trying to hurt him. That was incredibly dangerous. Edwin couldn't comprehend why Leah was acting in such a manner. He couldn't comprehend why she would protect Leo, nor why she attacked him for Leo. This was not Edwin's first time bleeding because of Leah. In fact, he's suffered many injuries from her before, but he has never felt puzzled by her reason for hurting him, as they were all quite simple, because she wanted to see blood. "I cannot touch that brat as long as Leah is with him. I will need to deal with him after he leaves this place. He's a dangerous being who could potentially affect the young lady's position as the next head of the Scarlet family," he cried inwardly. After leaving the hallways, Edwin began planning his next attempt at taking Leo's life. Meanwhile, "Are you okay?" Leah asked Leo once they were alone again. "Yes, thanks to you. You saved my life just now," Leo said after wiping the cold sweat from his forehead. Light's novel. "I was brought here to be killed by her, yet she saved my life. What an unexpected turn of events." He sighed inwardly. "You're bleeding." Leah pointed at his neck. Leo subconsciously touched his neck, and sure enough, there was blood on his neck, as Edwin's fingernails had managed to penetrate just enough to cause him to bleed. "Here's a high-grade healing potion." Leah handed him a luxurious-looking bottle that was even decorated with gold. "It's fine. A low-grade healing potion will do for this kind of injury." Leo retrieved his own low-grade healing potion and drank it. As much as he wanted to taste the high-grade healing potion, he was someone who hated wasting resources, even if those resources are not his own. "Then let me clean up the blood for you," Leah said. She suddenly approached him, and in one swift movement she held his face with her small hands. At the same time, she moved her head towards his neck. Once she was close enough, Leah opened her mouth and stuck her tongue out, licking the leftover blood on his neck. Leo's body froze after feeling the soft and wet sensation sliding across his neck. He wanted to step back after snapping out of his daze, but Leah's grasp on him was much stronger than he'd anticipated. When she finished licking all of his blood, Leah released him and took steps back until she reached the bed and fell on it, and she would lie there with a dazed look on her face for the next few minutes in complete silence. "You must be feeling pretty happy right now. Is this your first time being licked by a girl?" Lilith chuckled with a wide grin on her face. Instead of replying to her, Leo used his clothes to wipe the saliva left behind by Leah. A few minutes later, Leah sat up on the bed and beckoned him. "It's going to be sundown in a few hours, so I want to avoid spending any energy until then," Leo said to her, thinking that she wanted him to use mana drain on her. "I just want to talk to you," she calmly said as she patted the space beside her. "Okay." Leo nodded and sat on the bed next to her. "I will get straight to the point. I would like you to work for me in the Scarlet family." "What?" Leo raised his eyebrows. "I want you to stay here even after your mission is over. Your only job is to use mana drain on me, and I would like you to provide me some of your blood every once in a while. In exchange, I will give you everything you want as long as it's within my power, and as the future head of the Scarlet family, I have plenty of power and influence, especially in the future." Leo swallowed nervously after hearing her enticing offer. However, he knew that it was impossible to work for her or her family. "Can you give me some time to think about it?" I will let you know my answer after I am finished with my mission. Despite already deciding that he won't be working for her, Leo did not immediately give her an answer, as he wanted to finish his quest before potentially offending her. Okay, I will wait. Leo did not rush him for an answer either. Several hours later, Edwin returned with dinner, cooking Leo's share as well. When Edwin saw the way Leo looked at the food, he calmly said, "Don't worry, I didn't poison your food. I can eat it first if you don't trust him, which is understandable after what he did to you," Leo added. "It's fine. I trust that he didn't poison it," Leo said with a stiff smile on his face. Sometime later, Edwin returned to clean up the mess. Once the young lady has her last outbreak, your special mission will officially be completed, and you will be allowed to leave this place, Edwin said to him before leaving the room. "I can't wait to get this over with so that I can finally get some proper rest," Leo said with a calm face. Once Edwin left, Leo waited until sundown before he consumed a high-grade energy potion and started using mana drain on Lea. However, since this was Leah's final outbreak before she returned to normal for another 6 months, her increased mana regeneration would last longer than usual. Fortunately for Leo, his mana drain mastery rank increased to B towards the end, allowing him to push through the last few minutes. Leo collapsed on the bed at the end of their session. "How do you feel?" he asked her after catching his breath. "It's finally over," she said in a low voice. "That's great." Ding! You have completed a special quest. Plus 150,000 magic experience, plus 750 magic points. It's finally done. Leo released a sigh of relief. However, Lilith suddenly said, "It's not over yet, Leo. You still have to deal with her offer. She decides to kill you for rejecting her offer. Anyways, good luck." "I know. You don't have to tell me that." Sometime later, Leo stood before Lea with a serious expression on his face. "I have given many thoughts about your offer, Lea. Unfortunately, I cannot work for you." Leah's expression remained unchanged even though she'd just been rejected. "Is it because of Edwin? If you want me to get rid of him, I will permanently remove him." Lea spoke a moment later. "No, it has nothing to do with Edwin, you, or the Scarlet family." He shook his head. "Then why?" "Explain your reasoning," Lea said, her eyes narrowing a bit. Seeing this, Leo swallowed nervously, as he could tell that she was unhappy about his decision. And he nodded, "Of course. That was my intention in the first place. Anyways, the reason I cannot stay here and work for you is because I am already an adventurer. I simply won't have the time," Leo said. "If it's just that, you can be an adventurer while working for me," Lea said. "I know, but it just won't be the same. I care about my freedom above all. I don't like to be restricted, even if it's just a feeling. Furthermore, I have other things that I want to do. Maybe in the future I will change my mind and come work for you. If you're still willing to accept me at that time." Lea closed her eyes and became silent for the next few moments. Still with her eyes closed, she asked, "Is there really no way that I can make you stay with me?" "I'm sorry." Leo mentally prepared himself just in case Lea suddenly decided to stab her black dagger at him. "Since you have already made a decision, I won't continue to bother you. However, that does not mean I am going to give up. Leon, I want you, and when I want something, I always get it. It may not be today or even a year from now, but I will not give up until you're mine." Lea slowly opened her eyes to look at him with a resolute gaze. Leo showed a relieved smile and said, "Thank you for your understanding. Before you leave, can I see your phone?" she suddenly asked. "Sure." Leo immediately handed his phone to her, as he wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. After fiddling with his phone for a few moments, Lea handed it back to him and said, "I have put my contact information in there. Call me if you ever change your mind. If you need help, don't hesitate to ask for help." "Thank you." Lea left the bed and said, "I will show you the way out." Leo nodded and followed her outside the room, where Edwin could be seen approaching their room from the hallways. "How are you feeling, young lady?" Normal. That's a relief. By the way, where are you going? I'm showing him the exit. I can. No, you can clean the room. Leah immediately rejected his proposal before he could even finish his sentence. I understand. Edwin stood in the hallway and watched as Leo and Leah's figure disappeared from his eyes before entering another room to continue watching through the windows. Once they were at the front door, Leah said, "Can you come back in 6 months to help me again? If I am still alive by then." Leo nodded. "What are you going to do now?" she then asked. "First and foremost, I am going to return to the Adventurers Guild to let them know that I have finished the mission so that I can finally be promoted to C rank. After that, I don't know. I will probably continue doing missions for more promotions." "I see. Then maybe I will see you sooner than 6 months. Maybe. Anyways, see you later, Leah. It was actually nice knowing you. You're a very unique girl," Leo said to her with a smile on his face before walking out the door. Leah didn't say anything and silently watched Leo until his figure could no longer be seen before returning inside the building. Edwin Light's novel. When she returned to Edwin, she called for him. "What are your orders, young lady? I want all the information you can find on Leon. I don't care how small. I understand. I will have them ready as soon as possible," Edwin said. And he thought inwardly, this is perfect. I was going to look up on him anyway. This will just allow me to do it more openly. Lightsfell. However, before leaving, Leah spoke in a cold voice. "Edwin, I also forbid you from harming Leon." "Young lady? What do you mean? Do you think I am an idiot, Edwin? I can see your killing intent even now." Leah's crimson eyes emanated a profound aura. And she continued, "He will be part of the Scarlet family in the future. I won't allow anyone from my family to harm him. Do you understand?" Edwin's eyebrows twitched, and he responded in a calm voice, "I understand, young lady. I swear that I won't lay a single hand on him." Leah turned around and disappeared from his sight shortly after. Edwin gritted his teeth and muttered in a low voice, "As long as I don't personally kill him." After leaving the Scarlet family's household, Leo released a loud sigh of relief. "Thank God I am finally out of that house. It was only 3 days, yet it felt like I had been there for weeks." "I am not surprised, considering that you had been confined inside a small room and had to use mana drain most of the time," Lilith said. "Anyways, now that I am free, let's head to the Adventurers Guild and get my well-deserved C rank promotion. I bet the guild master will be very surprised to see you." Lilith chuckled. "Let's just hope that he won't attack me out of the blue like that damn old man." Sometime later, Leo arrived at the Adventurers Guild. After taking a deep breath, he entered the building and walked straight to the front desk. "I am here to report." He handed his ID to the worker and waited for his reward. "Thank you. I have confirmed the competition of your special mission. However, the reward for the mission is currently still pending, so you will have to return at another time for it," the worker said. "Pending? Is it because they didn't expect anyone to survive it, so they decided to not put a reward?" Leo wondered inwardly. "Where is the guild master? I would like to speak with him. I'm sorry, but that is not possible. The guild master left the city about 2 days ago due to an emergency. He won't be back for another month or 2, the worker said. "Seriously? What about his investigation into my bounty?" Leo asked. "Give me a moment to look this up." The worker proceeded to look through his information on the computer. Several moments later, the guild worker said to Leo, "Thank you for waiting, Leon. I have taken a look at all ongoing investigations on your profile. Indeed, there was an investigation about your bounty, and I am here to tell you that the investigation has already been concluded." "It's done already?" "They work faster than I anticipated," Leo thought to himself, but he wasn't complaining. After looking at the details of the investigation, it appears that there was no bounty on you. "Wait, what did you just say? That there is no bounty on me?" Leo doubted his ears. "That is indeed correct. The guild has looked into all active bounties but found no bounty on you, the worker confirmed. That's impossible. I had multiple people attack me and confirm that there was a bounty on me. Could they have removed the bounty before the investigation could find it? Leo asked. We are able to look through all active and inactive bounties, including completed and deleted bounties, so there is no way that we could have missed it. There is only one explanation for this, that the bounty isn't an official bounty. Unofficial bounties are much harder to track, but our investigators have gone through multiple sources and were unable to find anything about your bounty. I'm sorry, Leon, but there is nothing else we can do for you. Leo was left speechless by the results of the investigation. Ask him about the special mission, Lilith suddenly said to him. Leo snapped out of his daze and asked, What about my special mission? Who assigned me to it? Was it the guildmaster? No, the guildmaster doesn't have the authority to assign adventurers to specific special missions. Most of the time, it's all randomized by the system. However, if you think that you'd been chosen for your special mission, then it was most likely done by someone at the Adventurers Bureau, the worker explained to him. The guildmaster wasn't behind my mission? And what the hell is the Adventurers Bureau? Leo was dumbfounded by the results once again. It appears that we have jumped to conclusions and mistook the guildmaster as the culprit behind your bounty and the special mission. However, this raises even more questions. Why would someone at the Adventurers Bureau mess with you? They don't usually interfere with matters unless it's an emergency, Lilith said with a pondering look on her face. Let's talk about it later, Leo said to her. I understand. Thank you for the information. By the way, I am now a C-rank adventurer, right? Indeed. I am currently working on your new ID as we speak. The worker nodded. A couple of minutes later, the worker handed Leo his new ID. Name, Leon, ID 15057377101. Adventurer rank C. DOB 04/29/2022, Blood, O+. Sponsor, Camille Light, ID 646090913. Expiration, January 1, 2050. Leo thanked the worker one last time before leaving the Adventurers Guild and removed his disguise before calling a taxi. For Witches Academy, Leo said to the driver. While he waited, Leo asked, Hey Lilith, what's the Adventurers Bureau? What do they do? They're basically the political version of the Adventurers Guild. They also work directly with the government to keep the cities in this world safe, so they're more influential than the Adventurers Guild. They also handle most of the high-rank missions and special missions, and they're the ones who assigned me to the special mission, right? Why? There was no way that I had been randomly chosen by the system because Leah seemed surprised that the Adventurers Guild would send someone with my talents to become a sacrifice. You're asking the wrong person, Leo. I don't know much about the Adventurers Bureau besides the general stuff that most people know. You should speak with Miss Camille about this matter. She'll definitely have more insight, Lilith said. That's what I plan on doing. Sometime later, Leo returned to the academy. After going back to the dorm, Leo took a long shower before heading straight to bed. The following morning, Leo went to the cafeteria for breakfast before going to the infirmary to look for Miss Camille. She's not here. Where could she be? Leo mumbled. He decided to wander the academy until he found another teacher. Excuse me, do you know where I can find Miss Camille? Lightsonville. Did you try the infirmary? I did. How about the teacher's lounge? No, I will try that next. Thank you. Leo went to look at the teacher's lounge next, but Miss Camille wasn't there either. However, one of the teachers there knew about her location. Lights novel. Miss Camille is currently in a meeting with the headmistress. I see. Thank you. Leo returned to the infirmary and waited for Miss Camille to return. Meanwhile, inside the headmistress room, Miss Camille and Headmistress Eva sat before some tea. How are Leo's injuries? Will he be able to participate in the wilderness training course? Eva asked. He's recovering just fine. I also believe he's ready to participate in the training course. That's great to hear. What about the tournament? Think he'll be able to handle the top students from the other academies? Miss Camille pondered for a moment before speaking. Unfortunately, I don't think he's ready to fight with the top students from the other academies at his current state. However, it's hard to say how much he'll improve between now and then. Of course, if he could use magic, that would be a different story. Miss Camille thought to herself. Sometime later, Miss Camille asked, "How is the investigation on Leo's disappearance going? Do we know what happened to him? He may be alive, but I can't shake this uneasy feeling in my guts. After all, this incident was dangerous enough to heavily injure someone like Leo, even causing him to have amnesia. The investigation is still progressing. However, we should get an update after the wilderness training course," Eva said. And she continued, "It's actually taking longer than I'd anticipated. There are just so many unanswered questions and things that don't make sense. Honestly, there might be someone out there trying to hinder our investigation." Miss Camille frowned upon hearing this, but she wasn't surprised. "Thank you for the information. I'll try to look into it as well. If you find out anything, let me know. I don't want you doing anything rash, Camille. Your main focus right now is to help Leo recover from his injuries and amnesia." "I know," she nodded. "Anyways, what is Leo doing now?" Eva suddenly asked. "He's training. By himself." Eva raised an eyebrow. "He'll be fine." After talking for a little longer, Miss Camille left the room and returned to the infirmary to find Leo lying on one of the beds. "What are you doing here?" she asked him with a weird look on her face. Leo sat up with a smile on his face. "Look at this." He displayed his new adventurer's ID for Miss Camille. "You actually managed to achieve C rank in such a short time?" Miss Camille's eyes widened with surprise. "Yeah, but it wasn't easy. I almost died multiple times." He shrugged. Miss Camille locked the doors before taking a seat in her chair. "Tell me about it." Leo nodded and proceeded to tell her everything about his recent experience, greatly shocking her. After 2 hours of non-stop talking, Leo took a deep breath and ended his story with, "To end it all, it's about my goal for this world. Although it's nothing grand or ambitious, I think it's a fairly important one, which is to survive this world. Honestly, I wouldn't blame you even if you don't consider this a real goal. However, this will be my focus until I find something that I want to achieve even at the cost of my life." Miss Camille closed her eyes and started rubbing her eyes. Sometime later, she released a long sigh. "I left you alone for barely 2 weeks and you've managed to get yourself in so much trouble. I'm afraid what might happen to you if I leave you alone for even a little longer. You can't blame me for this. I am a victim here," Leo exclaimed. "I know. However, this bounty of yours is quite troublesome. Do you have any idea about who might be behind it? I thought it was Guildmaster Boris at first, but that no longer seems like the case." Leo sighed. "Give me a moment to think about it." Miss Camille began pondering in silence. After spending several moments to ponder in silence, Miss Camille spoke. "If there had been an official bounty placed on your head, whether it be official or not, you wouldn't have been able to walk in the street without being attacked. There's only one reason I can think of that explains your situation. Leo, there's a personal hit on you." Leo raised his eyebrows. "What?" he muttered in a dazed voice. "It means that someone had disguised an assassination attempt as a bounty. Person who wanted you dead had specifically picked your teammates to become assassins without letting them know the truth by disguising it as a bounty. That's why the Adventurers Guilds couldn't find anything during their investigation. The bounty was only available to your teammates and the team of adventurers that had chased you," Miss Camille explained. And she continued, "For example, let's say I want someone dead, so I send you a fake bounty, hoping that you'd accept it and kill the person for me. This way, only you and I know about the bounty, leaving almost no evidence behind unless they find whatever we used to contact each other, like phones with texts. Do you understand now?" Leo nodded. "So the bounty was fake and my teammates had been tricked to attack me? Why would anybody do such a thing?" I don't recall offending anybody. Hell, this Leon identity is brand new as well. Unless you, Miss Camille, used someone else's identity and they mistook me for that person? No, Leon is a fake identity that I personally made up. Unless they have already met you, there's no way anybody would know about you. Miss Camille shook her head. Leo frowned and said, besides Guildmaster Boris, Chrome, those adventurers that had gone on the mission with me, and you, nobody else should know about Leon's identity. Chrome wouldn't do something like this. As for Guildmaster Boris, he can do unpredictable things at times, but he would never harm one of his own adventurers, especially not someone with your talent. As for this Tammy guy, he has no reason to kill you, and if I wanted to kill you, you would already be dead by now, as I had countless chances to do so. If none of these people are suspects, who else could possibly want to kill me? Do people in this world have a habit of killing strangers for fun? This makes no sense at all. Leo exclaimed. You're forgetting someone else, or should I say something? The Adventurers Guild and the Adventurers Bureau also know about you, Miss Camille said. And considering that you had been picked for a special mission that normally wouldn't be assigned to adventurers, there is a good chance that the culprit behind your bounty is from the Adventurers Bureau. The frown on Leo's face deepened, and he asked, why would the Adventurers Bureau want to kill me when I have never even heard of them until recently? Aren't they basically the government? Miss Camille suddenly showed a worried expression on her face. Light's novel. After some hesitation, she spoke. To tell you the truth, I might be the reason you're being attacked. Leo's eyes widened with shock. Let me explain. As an S-rank adventurer, my role as a healer is very valuable and almost irreplaceable. When I wanted to retire, everyone was against it. Whether it be my own family or the Adventurers Bureau, none of them supported it, especially considering my age. I am not even 30 years old, yet I am already retiring. Meanwhile, most adventurers would not retire until they are well past that prime age or they have suffered an injury that prevents them from fighting. My retirement was frowned upon by everyone, and it had upset many powerful people. Despite that, nobody dared to touch me because they didn't want to be responsible for the death of an S-rank healer. I still don't understand how that's related to me. Leo shook his head. You're my first sponsor. They probably see this as an opportunity to finally mess with me. Seriously? I'm being hunted because of such a petty reason? Leo was in disbelief. This is just a theory, but it's the only one I can think of. Otherwise, there is no reason why anyone would want to kill you. I'm sorry, Leo. This is all because of me. Miss Camille sighed. There's no reason for you to apologize. You're not at fault here. The only ones at fault are those unreasonable bastards that decided to kill me, an innocent man, just to mess with you. Leo exclaimed. Anyways, is there anything we can do in this situation? Or should I just create a new identity? I don't mind climbing back to C rank for a second time. It wouldn't even take that much effort if nobody is trying to sabotage me. You'll have to register in another city if you want to become an adventurer under a new identity. Don't forget they know that you have an S-rank dark magic affinity and wind magic affinity. Do you know how many people out there have S-rank dark magic affinity? They'll realize it's you right away if you register in this city, Miss Camille said. And she continued, there's no need to be hasty. Until we figure out a solution, stop being Leon. The wilderness training course is next week too. You won't need to become an adventurer for a while. Leo nodded, I understand. Anyways, you should spend the next week preparing for the wilderness training course. I bet you'd barely used your sword the last 2 weeks. Go brush up your swordsmanship. You won't be able to use magic with so many students around. I understand. What about you, Miss Camille? Are you going to train with me? Lightsonville. She narrowed her eyes slightly and spoke in a cold voice. No, I have some business at the Adventurers Bureau, so you'll have to train without me for a little longer. Leo's mouth dropped after hearing her words. Don't tell me you're going there too. Leo swallowed nervously. There's only one way to confirm a theory. To go directly to the source. she calmly said. I appreciate your consideration, but I don't want you to do anything rash and get in trouble. The Adventurers Bureau is part of the government, right? Nothing good will come out of messing with them. Who said anything about messing with them? I am just going there to ask some questions. And you are underestimating the influence of an S-rank adventurer. Thank you for worrying about me, but I will be fine. This isn't my first time visiting that place either. If you say so. Leo nodded. One last thing before you leave. This is about the Scarlet family. You should stay away from them. They're more dangerous than you think. I don't know much about this Leo Scarlet, but their family is surrounded by bad rumors, especially the main family. From corruption to illegal assassinations, the Scarlet family seems to have connection to all of them. Don't worry, I have already told myself to never be involved with the Scarlet family ever again. Leo smiled. Good. Then I will see you later. Sometime later, Miss Camille left the infirmary and Leo went to the training center to continue his training with the sword. After leaving the infirmary, Miss Camille went to find Headmistress Eva. Camille? Did you forget something? Eva asked her. No, I just want to let you know that something came up, and it requires me to leave the city for some time. What? What about the wilderness training course? Your presence is essential there. Don't worry, I will be back before then. I'm just making a quick trip to Celestial City. Celestial City? Eva's eyebrows raised with surprise. Why are you going to such a depressing place? There's nothing but bureaucracies there. I have some business with the Adventurers Bureau. Anyways, I will leave now. All right. I will keep an eye on Leo while you're gone, Eva said with a smile on her face. Don't do anything weird to him. Miss Camille frowned slightly. Eva chuckled. I will try not to. Miss Camille left the academy shortly after and returned to her own home. You're back early, Sophie said when she saw Miss Camille. Yes, and I will be gone for a few days. Where are you going? Celestial City. Sophie's eyes widened with surprise. Don't you hate that place? Why would you suddenly go there? I don't have a choice, Miss Camille said as she opened the doors to a certain room. Light's novel. However, when she opened the door, there was no room on the other side. In fact, there was nothing on the other side. It was pitch black, almost as though it was the void. I will be right back. Miss Camille entered the door and disappeared into the darkness. Sophie didn't follow her inside and stood outside with a pondering look on her face. Why is she visiting the treasure vault if she's just going to Celestial City? Sophie wondered to herself. Several minutes later, Miss Camille came out of the darkness, but her appearance was completely different, and she was fully dressed in a fancy pair of white and golden robes and accessories, not to mention the golden staff in her grasp, looking like a fantasy character out of a video game. You're going to the Celestial City fully geared? You're even weaning your S-rank artifacts. Don't tell me you're going there to start a war? Sophie swallowed nervously after seeing Miss Camille's appearance, as she was wearing all of her best equipment that she used to wear when she was an active adventurer. Lightsfell. In fact, she was wearing things that she normally wouldn't wear even in labyrinths. A war? Well, that will depend on their response, Miss Camille calmly said. Whose response? Sophie couldn't help but ask. The Adventurers Bureau. Sophie's jaw dropped after hearing her words. The Adventurers Bureau. Why are you know what? Forget it. I already feel a headache coming, so I am going to stop here, Sophie said as she rubbed her temples. Once Miss Camille was outside in front of her house, she stopped walking and began activating her mana. Cloak on her back suddenly began fluttering, and Miss Camille's body started levitating off the ground. Stay safe. And don't do anything rash, Sophie said to her. See you later, Miss Camille said before shooting into the sky and flying towards the city walls like a rocket. Of course, this was only possible due to her artifact, which allowed her to use the Tier 5 wind magic spell known as Flight. Meanwhile, back at the academy, Leo stopped swinging his sword after he was all out of energy. Although using the sword isn't as fun as using magic, there's just something about swinging a sword. It feels kind of cool, Leo muttered out loud as he laid on the cold floor. Really? I don't see how it can be cool, Lilith said. If you came from a world without magic or monsters, you would understand my feelings. Before coming to this world, I was just an ordinary student with no experience in magic or fighting. Forget about swinging a sword, I would feel cool even with a kitchen knife. I still don't understand. Lilith shook her head. Forget it. I'm going to see if there is anything in the magic system that will help me with the wilderness training course. Since I cannot use magic, I should buy some artifacts that will increase my physical capabilities. He thought to himself. He looked at his available magic points. I have over 1,000 magic points right now. Although that's nowhere near enough to purchase anything in the magic shop, I can buy any F-rank artifacts I want now, including a weapon. The artifact shop will also level up if I purchase 5 more artifacts. Maybe I should buy 5 cheap artifacts and see what the level 2 artifact shop has to offer first. Thus, Leo began looking through the artifact shop while he rested.